so I think it's definitely time to explain Night King Aemon One Eye, Sean MacArthur. I think it might have to go symbolism heavy this week. This is just his villainy just pouring off the screen. What can we say? Let's go ahead and flip us on the screen. Select source. It's going to be camera. Hey, look, it's us. It's Sean MacArthur wearing some sort of... What are you wearing, sir? Before I reduce us to our smaller size and bring the chat into the picture, what are you wearing?
So I'm wearing the Green Man outfit. I was gonna show up to the stream as the Wild Green Man, like I promised, but it's Green Man from Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Unfortunately, it is very form-fitting, a lot more form-fitting than I thought. And, not that I'm ashamed of what's going on here, but also, like, the nipples could get distracting. We got the whole nipples on a breastplate.
Well, Sean, it's good to leave layers to escalate to, like that was a good tease, very good tease. And Thank so you. Now the audience will wait with bated breath for this thing to escalate. This is well played, sir. You might be going somewhere in this business. And let me just go ahead and bring in the chat here. And we're naked without our overlay, so there we go. Oh, that's cozy.
Nice.
Hello, friends. Hello, Girl Nettles of the Girl Nettles YouTube channel. Welcome. Thank you for coming back again. So we're always happy to have you.
Hi, everyone. I'll show off my drip. I'm wearing this Caraxes shirt that says Throat Goat.
Where can I get mine?
Everybody's favorite long boy.
Well, in all seriousness, that is, of course, from the Gray Area merch store. Yep. And Gray Area is cool and selling the dragon shirts. We, too, have a Caraxes shirt. Ours is the cute one with the soup can. And you can get that at the link below. Let's just go ahead and do the housekeeping real quick. Welcome new people to the channel. Feel free to subscribe. Have a look around. We have videos. Our shirts, by the way, are not made with AI. If you look on the website, we have actually the human artist's name who did each shirt below. So Nana Vagar, for example, is done by artist Shayna Lacey, who is a friend of the program. And all our different names are Alanis Morissette's done one. So yeah, somebody commented was like, "How come your shirts are AI?" And I'm like, "How come you're wrong?" It's like,
yeah.
People do that now. It's just something we have to live with. In any case, human artists, check it out in the link. If you want to get a link to our Discord, which is a fun place to talk about things that's much safer and healthier than other places like Twitter, then all you have to do is sign up for become a channel member with the join button or sign up for our Patreon. Either one will get you a Discord link. Lots of nice folks in there chopping it up all the time.
I'm in there. It's fun.
Sean, are you in there, buddy?
I am. I haven't participated a ton, and I don't think I changed my nickname. That was an oversight. So nobody knows it's me. It's just some asshole.
So if you want the full pictures of Sean's form-fitting outfit without the outer shirt, they are on Discord. I think that's what I heard. It's a little static coming through, but is Sean, in all seriousness, Sean MacArthur got a new YouTube channel, folks. He is debuting it, his new video. Is it going live in like a couple of minutes or something?
8 minutes ago it went live.
8 minutes ago. So
yeah,
we got a little something to do after the stream. It is called Hero with 1,000 Voices. And you can see the link right there on the screen. You can also find it simply by clicking on his name in the description of the video, below the video. So without said, let's talk about the episode. I'm wearing my Rage Against the Machine shirt because we got Comrade Hammer, Hard Hugh Hammer and Sickle. I was very happy. In fact, I feel like I've already made the videos that I would want to make. I've got a Dragon Seeds video talking all about the Dragon Seeds. And there's a non-spoiler half and a spoiler half. So you got both going on. And Jason Bela, the stars of the week. We got tons actual dialogue, not just two lines like, "Hi, Bela, hi, hey, let's shoot the crossbow." We actually got something to talk about and dig into, so that was cool. And I think I'm just going to talk about Night King Aemon symbolism this week and then put out my Dragon Dreams video. What you heard. But what struck you guys? This is our first segment here. I changed it from what surprised you to what struck you. And we'll grab some super chats here real quick. Yeah, Alyssa. Hey, there's Alyssa Targaryen. Oh, that was weird.
That was gonna be my what struck me, so
Yeah.
nobody take that. We'll come back.
Take it away.
So first, I thought it was Emma because that actress looks like the Emma actress. So the first thing I thought of was like, so Tony Teflon put out a video that Damon was Damon could be Rhaenyra's dad, and everybody like booed him off the stage. So I'm watching this, I'm like, David having sex with Emma. I'm like, everyone will have to apologize to Tony. But then I realized that it was Alyssa, and I was like, well, that's even worse. Wait a minute. What in the Oedipus Rex? Like, this was not a dream of kissing my mom. It wasn't a dream of fondling my mom. Damon touched 7 bases in that dream with his mom. So that's what struck me, is that Damon has so much to unpack. Can we pay for therapy for this guy? GoFundMe. What can we do for him?
Okay, well, so first of all, were we trying to crawl back in the womb there? Is that what he was looking for? Is that the symbolism they were going? In all seriousness, I've never really dug into the Oedipus myth. I don't know what this like Freudian thing is behind that. But that occurs to me that maybe that was something to it. But yes, I've been saying that Alice has been giving Damon therapy, and she was the last 2 weeks. It's like he's confronting his demons. Took kind of a weird turn this week, I have to say. I don't know if we're doing therapy anymore. Sean, what do you think of the Alice Rivers School of Psychotherapy? What are we doing here?
Well, as a therapy fan myself, Jesus Christ. Yeah, that was, it was a lot. I try to line up some of the positives with some of the, oh God knows. And I'd say the positive is he was generous. The negatives, again, it was his mom. And you were like, that looks like Emma Aaron, and Emma Aaron, you're like, yeah, she's half Targaryen herself. And they like to keep it a family affair, and it's always weird. It's already weird that, Damon's married to his niece, but somehow he got even weirder during his,
look, Rhaegar said it in my video. I don't know if you guys have watched my Battle Rook's Rest video, but Rhaegar said it. There's a Valerian show, So I Married Our Mother. It's a real show, and we saw it. So I called that one. I nailed.
I'm my own grandpa taken to the worst possible degree.
Tony Teflon thought his theory was going to get proven, but instead, it was my joke. It was my joke.
It was your joke.
It was my joke.
The joke is, not even the joke. The joke and the plot are always just more incest.
Can we go to 11? That was good. That was good. So, did they do the mismatched eyes? I didn't look closely.
Tragedy, by the way.
I'm sorry, what?
So, Oedipus Rex, it's a tragedy. So he clearly didn't read the whole thing.
Well,
I forgot about the eyes, so I didn't look. We'll have to look on the rewatch.
Well, they let him off the hook. They said he's never met his mother, so he didn't know at first who it was, right?
No, like any good Azor, I figure he
him on her drag.
Well, I guess not after he was young, right? She died when he was very young.
In the
she
book,
would take him dragon
she was
riding.
trying to have a third child. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
Yes,
Go ahead.
That's right. No, Sean's right. She died in childbirth, trying to give birth to a third child. So Damon would have been very, very young and would not have recognized her. So yeah, I'll have to watch it again to see what they're trying to show us as far as his consciousness. It seemed like it was a little bit of a horror twist at the end when he's like, wait, what's going on? So
he should be horrified. And that's what the dragon must have 3 heads. So he gave her a third.
Jenny of Oldstone says, ew. I'm gonna heart that one. So okay, so let's see what else struck us. Like I said, I'm gonna go for Jason Bela. That was really some cool stuff to dig into with them. It struck me that, with the younger characters, it's hard to develop them in a way that stands on the same level as these other characters who we've had so many episodes to develop. Damon and
Yeah.
Alicent and Rhaenyra. Like, we've really been into these characters' minds so many times. But I really like how Jace, it became more than just, I want to do something. It's like he actually did something fairly constructive. Because we've been talking about like Aegon and Daemon and how some of these people, they all want to do something. And it's like, well, can we talk about what and how and when?
Yeah.
And so Jace was also wanting to do something because it's a war. Rhaenyra's not doing anything. We need to do something. That's true. And so he figured out a good thing to do. And I think they were showing us that like Bela helped him because first he was going to go to Harrenhal and take Daemon by the scruff of the neck. And we'll talk about King Daemon, I guess, in a minute, but that wasn't necessarily the best idea. What he did instead, I guess, was better. I don't know how believable it is that this is how the war planning goes, so haphazard that like everything is just like this little mission that people go on without permission. Seems a little, I'm going to go, but whatever. It was a useful thing that he did, and Bela helped steady him and choose a course of action that was not foolish, and it was productive instead. So I think Jace is meant to contrast the sort of foolish action of Aegon last week and some of the rash stuff that Daemon does, perhaps.
But why didn't they kiss?
Yeah,
Bela and
not enough
Jace.
kissing. I don't know. It's like everyone's
and
afraid
Jace.
of it. No one goes out
Yeah.
anymore, Nettles. Everyone's
If
on
you
the
would just
internet
kiss
all the
your
time. They're
mom in a
afraid of
dream,
kissing.
You would hold back.
You can get cooties that way. I'm sorry, Sean. Go ahead. What was that?
Said if you had just kissed your mom in a dream, you would hold back on the next one.
Yeah, that's the kissing they gave us, of course. Damon trying to crawl back
Fine.
into the womb.
Fine.
All right, well, let's see. Oh, and guys, by the way, I didn't do enough polls last week. So we'll poll everybody on the forum questions. But if you guys could also help me look for good questions to poll the chat. If you think of one, just blurt it out and we'll do it.
Okay, cool.
So, yeah. So, Sean, did you have a pick for what struck you besides the two things that we talked about?
Well, I would say that what we talked about was the most shocking, but I would say in terms of plot development, there were two very big developments to me. One is how they handled it, because we knew it was coming, with Aemond becoming regent, where it was really, he boxed out Alicent. And then the other one that I was looking at was at the very end when they started broaching the idea of the dragon seeds.
Yeah, the line was, it's settled then. He just sat there. He did the Tywin Lannister thing, Aemond that is. He likes to do that. He stays quiet and waits and just looks imposing. And then, yeah, he's like, that's settled then. And then he like gets up and switches chairs. Very good blocking. Very conscious, like from that one end of the table to the other. Very zooming in on the, where's mine? I got a little stone. Okay. Anyway, you've seen it before. As soon as he sets it down, he's like, what's our situation in the Riverlands? It's like, all right, let's get to work. Very dramatic. Man means business.
So was that the small council scene, Sean?
Yeah. And the entire time, all I could see was like a more calm and collected version of when Cartman became teacher at South Park.
Oh, man.
Corliss decided. Okay, we're going to catch up on these super chats here in just a second. So, let me see if...
Put Oedipus Rex for me.
Oedipus... Okay. How do you spell that? O-E...
O-E... Yeah. D-I. Puss.
Eat a puss.
Eat a puss.
Just say
Kristen Koda.
rebirthing symbolism.
Didn't I tell you like earlier today that I wasn't going to get you demonetized?
You did say that. I would appreciate it if we could keep with that idea.
Yeah.
It's tough. I do want you to be funny though, Sean, so don't,
Some of the small folk are saying, as far as what struck them, one is Corlys broke their heart. Sad Corlys.
He did.
Yeah.
He did indeed. I kind of like wish that we had seen him get the news It didn't quite work for
or
me.
anyone. We
Yeah,
didn't see
to
anyone
just
in the
like
news.
we had to figure out that he's sad. Like, oh, okay, yes. This I'm like, does he know? And like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
he knows. Obviously, now he's crying. It would have been a little more dramatic if we had find him, learning about it. But I
Beat
did
the
enjoy.
messenger.
I liked the Bela Corliss conversation though.
That was good, but it was weird that they didn't. Oh, are you muted?
No,
No,
what's the
no.
problem?
Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Sorry.
Okay.
Is
It
your
was weird that
connection
they
wonky
didn't.
or?
No, I think I'm good. Just for
Okay.
whatever reason, you cut out while you were talking for a minute. I think it's on my end, but I'm good.
Cool. Well, let's grab these first wave of super chats and take the pulse of the fandom and see what we think about stuff.
Yay.
I feel like Jason and Bela should have boned already. Hey, who's to say they're not? They don't have time. What was that about? Rhaena tried to tame a dragon and almost got killed. They just dropped that in. Was that a scene they cut or what?
That's awkward that they didn't talk about it. And God, like you talking about just a second ago, when we had the cutout thing, it was weird to me that they didn't have reaction scenes about Rhaenys' death, because that would have paralleled the scenes where they brought in Aegon's body. And they've been doing those kind of parallels of green to black throughout the entire show. And they just
Yeah.
didn't for that. That was weird.
Yeah.
Hmm.
There was a couple things that were uneven about this episode. I think that was one of them. Yeah. Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, who's to say Jason Bale? We don't know. Don't make any assumptions. They're pretty hot. I
But we
mean,
want to see it though. We want to
yes, we no argument.
binoculars.
Of course we do.
Look, it's all
It-
foreplay now.
Well, there's a war going on. Everyone's very tense. But no, that's
Pitching 10.
that's when you okay. Anyway, such good women doing things. Bela telling her grandpa it's not about him. Alinda and Diana. Oh yeah, secret agent Alinda. And Diana too. Yeah, that was cool. Diana, I mean, yeah, Diana's the one. She was the victim of Aegon's assault in the first season, right? And so it turns out Mysaria scooped her up. Okay, that makes sense now. Very cool. Thank you. Damon having an yep, amazing. I don't know. I mean, choose your own word. Sunfire. Sunfire. So Cole said Sunfire long in the dying. I think, unless they're making a change, I think that just means like Cole expects that she'll die, but she hasn't yet. We don't know Sunfire's gender. I don't think. But yeah, Sunfire shouldn't be dead unless they're making a change. But they do. They left men to guard Sunfire because, it's kind of broken. So, did I hear Cole write Sunfire is at Rooks? Yeah, still stuck there, and that's what happens in the books. Sunfire's got to stay there until we can heal up a little bit. This was Bela's episode. She ate overall 6 out of 10. Yeah, again, if you want the full Jason Bela character sketch, I did that like just a few weeks ago, and I have that on my channel. And I'm glad that we finally gave Bethany Antonia some lines to work with, because she's definitely a good actress. So,
Yeah.
Also Damon, although selfishly made a good point, the queens of kings are not usually called queen consort. So why should he not be called king? I don't know. I'm pretty sure that, I think Your Grace is right,
Your Grace is right.
but king consort is the right title. I think they're
King
trying to
consort.
show us that he has ambitions to be king. We'll have to talk about that.
Well, I saw something that Minty said in the chat, is that king is by default the highest title. So when you say queen, it's understood that they're not at the level of the king. So when it's a king, you have to remark upon that difference to show that the queen is still above the king by calling them queen or king consort.
Right, and they pretty much cleared that up later in the episode by having Damon flat out say, Rhaenyra, she can't do it. I'm just gonna have to. Go ahead, Nettles. Your thoughts.
That was horrible. That was horrible, Damon. Damon. See, now we're gonna change Nettles and Damon's story in the book to being the father daughter thing. I'm not going to no, because I it's I always thought that he was someone who, of course, maybe at some point he wanted the throne, but that he really does believe in Rhaenyra, and he's really just like, I could have the throne if I wanted to, but I'm above that, or something like that. And this scene, I think it's hard to dismiss the fact that like he's jealous of Rhaenyra. He thinks it should be him, and he doesn't believe in her. And I don't know. That just makes me disappointed in him because I don't think Rhaenyra has given him reason to believe that.
The chat says I'm to give you 5 minutes to interrupt. You've got 4 minutes left.
No, that's it. No, we're having a convo. I need other people in my brain. 3 heads are better than one. 3 heads of the dragon. Come on.
3 heads. Yeah.
It's a departure from the books.
The showrunners want us to hate him. They remember every interview Condell was like, "Oh, I'm surprised everyone likes Daemon. Why do you guys like Daemon?" And so I feel like this season they're like, we have to take everything from him. We're gonna make him eat his mom.
And they can't make me hate him.
Like, we're gonna make him do
What
everything.
war crimes do I have to defend this week?
I know. What did the Blackwoods do? Okay, should we save that?
No. Let's get into it. I think this is one of the more interesting parts of the episode. It was a little bit of a slow episode, but yeah, Daemon, living at Harrenhal, shacking up at Harrenhal, let's say, has decided to go and commit some atrocities. He thinks the Riverlands could use a few more atrocities, and that is the way to bring the Brackens into line. And the Blackwoods are more than happy to do that. This is the same thing as Jaehaerys getting his head cut off, okay? Daemon doesn't give very specific orders. He commands bad people to do bad things, not concerned with how far it goes, not concerned about the blowback. And so he's just like, all the people have weaknesses and there's some things that people can't see. And he's like, well, we can both get what we want. There was not any limits placed on the Blackwood's vengeance. He was just like, do what you have to do, kinda. And
he said, do what the crown cannot.
And right, which means atrocities. He's like, yeah, I can't even stuff that I can't even put my hood on for. Yeah. And so
the last now time we I was see on stream, oops, all war crimes.
What's that?
The last time I was on your stream, oops, all war crimes.
Yeah. Yes, that's what we poured out. It's the new Magic Spoon flavor. So the dreams have gotten darker, and Alice Rivers now, who seemed like maybe she was trying to help him be a better person before, she seems pissed.
Yeah. No, in my head, I saw Ramsay type stuff happening to those Bracken people, because that's what those screams that she put in his head sounded like, which I don't like Alice. Oh my God, I don't like Alice because my mind is so important to me. That is a nightmare to have you inside my mind. I would rather you put me on the Ramsay X before you get actually inside my mind, my safe space. So the fact that David never knows where he is, like, that's true horror. Okay, when like how Hodor feels in the books, like in the corner of his mind, Alice can reduce Daemon to that if she wants. But what was my point?
She's unnerving.
Okay, this is my point. I don't like her for how she's making Daemon feel and me feel watching this, but I do like how she put those screams in his head, because Daemon is one of those people, he's a person of privilege, where when he makes an order, he doesn't have to deal with the consequences of his actions. We saw ever since season 1, he gets to run away. He can go to Stepstones. He went to, where was he? Bravos, whatever. He does the stuff, and like Rhaenyra has to clean it up. So Alice is like, no, you're gonna hear the screams of the women. You're gonna feel like you're there. And like, so I think, I hate to give Alice credit, but I think that's great. That's how you teach a tyrant what it's like to feel.
Yeah, it's like I almost felt like the peasant woman is working in tandem. She's like, these riverlands are protected by all sorts of gods and things, and Damon's all kind of like starting to succumb to the dreams again, and it's just like, oh, yeah, you might be overmatched. And it's interesting because the dragons are this unstoppable force. We saw. I mean, everyone was afraid of Vagar. Vagar shows up, he could burn your whole castle. She can, rather. And so it's like, they said, you guys, Damon's talking about respecting your Targaryen overlords and stuff. That was a cool line. And then we see the people like Alice and this woman and these other peasants and minor lords, and they're just like, we're not just submitting to that. Like, we've got piss and vinegar. We've got fire in our bellies. And of course, there are these other magical forces that can even put Daemon in check. So I don't know. If I were Daemon, don't know how long I'd stay at Harrenhal. But that's the whole curse of Harrenhal. Like, if you try to, I will say this. This is a different Daemon than in the books. However, this Daemon matches the archetype of Harrenhal as far as hubristic, grasping. That's the Harrenhal archetype. Okay. So he is stepping right into that curse.
It's
just
like
Black Heron.
Emperor out of Shy vibes.
Yes.
Did we do the poll for the chat as for what struck them?
No, there's I think we said we weren't gonna
we're not doing.
Yeah, let's go ahead. Let's do it. Why not? We haven't done a poll yet. Mr. Maynard Plum, if you would.
Alice Rivers. Vicky Valancourt is the devil.
Vicky Valancourt.
Okay.
Do you guys think Alice? This thought struck me. Do you guys think Alice is actually there? Because what was that look that Simon Strong gave when he was like the fourth or fifth time he's talking to Daemon? I don't know, and he's like looks, and I'm like, is Alice? Does he see her or not?
Well, he looked at her, but it was kind of a weird look. It was either like, why are you here? Or maybe Alice isn't there, and he was like seeing a disturbance in the force or something. Is that what you mean?
No, I thought he was seeing Damon's face. Like, what are you looking at? You know, when you're talking to someone and they're staring at something.
Okay.
And you turn around, you're like, what are you looking at? And they're like, oh, you know what I mean?
I'll have to watch it again, but I was trying to figure out if they were working that she's not really there angle or not. Maybe she's the old lady.
She's the one taking care of like the ravens and stuff and sending letters. So I assume she is really there. Strong has had to survive in Harrenhal for a good long time. I think he just doesn't want on her radar.
That makes sense. I'll have to watch it again and see if they're giving us clues about that. It's definitely believable. I mean, everything there is very in and out of the dreamscape. So, okay. Oh, it started me at the bottom. Okay, let's see here.
Started from the bottom.
No idea why when the guy said women don't do war, Rhaenyra was like Visenya. This one is easy. Well, we saw her looking at the book, studying of Visenya and talking about Visenya later. But she made the point that like, well, none of us have any war experience. And then he didn't really have anything to say to that. So, but then also I thought it was real that Rhaenyra sort of admitted later. She's like, yeah, they have a point. Like, I wasn't trained the way they were. And even though my father raised me to be queen, but he didn't really give me this. He didn't raise me to be Visenya. And she's like, am I supposed to be Visenya? Is that what I should be doing? I kind of I have some complaints about Rhaenyra's character being kind of like hard to get into at times, but I related to that because it's like, yeah, that's the dilemma. Like, should I go out and there's only a few dragons, Syrax is one of the biggest dragons that they have. It's not a little dragon, not Vagar size, but not a little one. And yeah, it's just like, should I go and be Visenya or not? And it's hard to say. It's honestly hard to say.
I say yes, because she played the nice game enough.
Well, let's put that one. I think I may have an issue with the Maynard Plum connection. I'm not seeing He may not be with us. I'll have to check my messages in a second. Let's put a poll, though.
I did see the poll. Did you not see the poll?
I voted in the poll.
Oh, there is a poll.
Yes, I voted in it.
I'm okay. He's getting really mad at me then. Sorry,
Okay.
Maynard James Plum. I don't. I got the stupid chat summary on the
No,
screen.
Alice
Okay.
Rivers and Maynard James Plum, both ghosts.
Are they here or not? Oh, okay. There's the poll.
See, I voted for Eamon takes charge in this poll because I remembered how my nemesis Alicent got schooled. Ooh, baby. What was that what was that long drag of everyone talking and her going, oh, like I'm so sad, like at the table? Wasn't that
You know
kind of
what?
a
Somebody
yeah,
in the
it's
chat
really
said it.
supposed to show, hey, this might turn into a woman's wrath and they might deviate from the books and give Allison some explosive stuff because that long drag, it was for a reason. So, but I loved her getting schooled. It's like she looks at Lara. She's like, "I showed you my feet. Aren't you gonna speak for me?" He says. She says, "What did Leona Mormont say? You refused the call." She looked
God.
at
No,
Laris. He refused the
and
call.
Laris was like, I paid my subscription to your OnlyFeed.
She
I don't owe you
she
anything.
looked at Kristen. He refused the call. Everyone, the only one was Maester Orwile. She's like,
Yeah.
Kristen, we just boned, Kristen. Kristen, we just boned.
It was kind of brutal, like that high stakes political chess. Like you see, like this thing is hanging in the balance, and they're just like, you only get a chance to say a couple things. Aemon's not saying anything. He's just letting the patriarchy do the work for him. And I did think it was interesting, Kristen being like, this is for the Dragon Riders to handle. Oh my God.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
that's
It,
kind of
it
legit.
honestly seemed like he was critiquing her bedroom dragon riding when he made that decision.
Get out, Sean. No.
I don't think that's what was happening. Let me
That was real stuff. That's a real reaction. Any of us would be like, I would be the same way. Hey, if I just saw that,
Yeah, someone in the chat said it. Something. It was one of the super chats said something along the lines of, "Well, you'll get to it." I don't wanna.
yeah. That Battle of Rook's Rest, the human army was inconsequential, wasn't it? And that's what Kristen is saying.
well, they
My
have to be
20,000
there,
men.
but they're at the mercy of the dragons. Like, yeah, once Melis, breached the wall, the men took the castle, but yeah, it's like if Melis had beaten Vagar, then the whole thing would have been different. So Corlys decided to name Bela his heir when 2 episodes ago he wouldn't name Rhaena, and he knows dang well Bela is engaged to the Prince of Dragonstone and will be the next queen. Yeah, he's flailing a little bit, huh? I think they're potentially setting up future dynamics, but I did like Bela identifying with the Targaryen. I'm fire and blood, I'm a dragon rider, this and that. Because, like, both of her parents were dragon riders.
Yeah.
And she wasn't raised on Driftmark, so that wouldn't really be something that she has a connection to. So
She was like, I'm gonna get the throne, dude.
or
Like,
what
she's
she
supposed to
spent
get
some
the
time
throne.
on Driftmark. I take that back. But
But she
Yeah.
no, she said this episode, I wish I was here when it was great, kind of alluding to the fact that like I'm not used to this place.
yes, she doesn't have an emotional connection to it. That's right. Was that Alyssa or Eamon? Yeah, it was Alyssa. I don't know if he did the eyes. We got to go back and look. Alyssa had mismatched eyes, by the way. One purple and one green, right? Is that right? I think so.
Perhaps, mayhaps.
A line that Targs never crossed, parent-child. So I married our mother. It's a Valerian show. No, the Targaryens don't do that. It's true. There are no parent-child. That's the one incest line they have not crossed. Except for maybe Maegor. No, Aegon the Unworthy. Felena Stokeworth's daughter might be his daughter. We talked about that.
Okay, great. I didn't know that, but yeah,
Mm-hmm.
great.
Yeah, well, it's a maybe.
It's a maybe, but it's strongly implied that it's.
Yeah, it.
The biggest bar from the episode was after Corliss tried to name Bela his heir, and she responded, "I'm born of fire and blood. You're looking for someone who's born of salt and sea." Yeah, that was a nice line. And it was, like I said, we finally got to know Bela and Jace a little bit more. We'll have to see about Rhaena in the Vale with Jane Arryn. Only one short scene. Not sure what that dynamic is going to be like. I have to give them more time to flesh that out. But definitely feel like we got to know Bela more this week.
No, that was a good scene. It was short, but mutual feminine respect. Like in that short scene, I think Rhaena won Jane over because now they have something in common, which is feeling helpless.
They did show us that yeah, there's they're both strong, they're both a little pissed, and they have something in common. Yeah, they had an elderly Lady Frey with a veiled hair calling a man an oaf. Oh yeah, some shades of Elena. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, she was cool. Yeah,
good catch, Carolina.
I liked both Freys actually. They were cool.
No, they were disrespectful. Don't play with a dragon. You're Frey. You're Frey.
We got Vermax cam, like just the over the shoulder Vermax looking. That's all we get. That's all we get this week.
With my GoPro and it looks good.
Yeah, we used the dragon CGI budget last week.
Yeah, how do you think that Maylee's head looked in like the first couple scenes? Did it look weird to you?
I like how they had the flies buzzing around it and stuff.
The flies were
nice. Look what you've done to my girl. It hurts.
So I noticed people online were debating a lot about how that was going to play out, and definitely it played out as a bad omen. We didn't even get it. She killed my auntie. Little disappointed that nobody whose auntie was killed in the dragon pit was around to be like, she killed my auntie. I really thought they were going to. So they really did have Rhaenys and Meleys stomp like 100 people or 300 people in the dragon pit, and they don't want us to think about it. I thought that they were going to use that as a way to build up the resentment of the small folk against the Targaryens. It just didn't happen. She just exploded out of the floor. It was cool.
NPC, and like that man said, I thought they were gods.
Yeah, that's how they played it. They played it entirely as a bad omen. Oh my God. Rhaenyra won't take this laying down. That part made sense. But there should have been a "you killed my auntie" guy. So never happened. I was wrong. I've been reassuring people that they were going to. Go ahead.
Maybe they only got his uncle.
Maybe the only
they killed
what?
His uncle. They killed his uncle, not his auntie.
Sean, can you get me? I need a little more volume from you. I'm having a hard time hearing you, buddy. Is the mic? Can you get closer to the mic, perhaps? Yeah. Okay, that's what
I was slouching. That's on me.
Yeah, well, stand up straight for the people.
Stand up straight for the people.
Alice, or sit up straight. There you go. Allison was. Oh, speaking of sit, Alice Rivers told Damon to sit twice like a puppy dog, didn't she? It's like sit. I noticed that.
She's a dominatrix.
That's how we found out he's a switch.
You said a switch?
I can't even keep up with you, Sean. Allison was surprised, like that meme. I never thought leopards would eat my face, sobs woman who voted for leopards eating people's faces party. Oh, when she saw Aegon, you mean?
Yeah. Can I say something about this? So that meme is from at Instagram Cheska Lay. She went to my high school, Dreyfus School of the Arts, and she's like big time Hollywood writer and stuff like that. And the meme is like, whenever like a black Republican gets like discriminated against by the Republican Party, she posts a clip and then she has her ukulele singing, "I never thought the leopards would eat my face," basically like. So I just wanted to plug that in.
Well,
if you guys don't know what the meme is, it's really funny.
I'm familiar with it, and
it's poignant. That's the one I was talking about. That said, I won't worry about it. It'll come up on the because that's exactly what happened.
Well, what we have to remember is that like, it's not just a matter of like, oh, I pushed my son into war and now he's come back burned. Specifically, like she wasn't handling Aegon's situation. Like he came to her, saying, "What do you want me to do?" And she just was kind of like, "Do nothing. You're worthless. Just sit there." And then he goes and does this foolish thing. Obviously, we're supposed to understand that she's feeling some level of guilt about that now. And, so really sad. Aegon saying mummy when she's walking
Yeah.
away. So
Once again, Allison. Once again, this guy needs you.
It's wild how they can make us feel genuine sympathy for these people like Daemon and Aegon, etc. Like, because Aegon's a horrible person, but you do feel for him in that moment because part of the reason that he's awful is because he is just part of this awful dysfunctional family.
yes, that's well said, Sean. Well said. And I tried to highlight that in my battle video. It's like really foolish action, but also brave. He is leading from the front. He is mixing it up. So that's, meaningful. So let's go ahead and wrap this poll up. We've got Oedipus was 42% and 15% other. So we'll have to see
You
what
were
the
going to
chat
put another
responds to.
poll. You were going to do another poll for whether Rhaenyra should be a dragon or be a humanitarian.
That's why it wouldn't let me start the poll.
Because there was another one.
Yeah, it's all the Danny stuff you've been doing has been leading up to this.
And this really is a hard question because it's like Aegon did that last week. How'd that go for him? Not very well. And then she's all like, oh, Vhagar this, but Cyrax is quicker. And we're all like, yeah, but... And
No, I want her to get in there. Get in there, Rhaenyra.
well, vote in the poll then.
Yes, I will. Should Rhaenyra go full again? Yep.
I
Get in
don't
there,
think
Rhaenyra.
so. Look, I think that if you're attacking Vhagar, they're doing the right thing right now, is by getting more dragon riders. You need a few dragons.
Damon's not answering her calls. Yeah, she needs more.
He left her on red. It was bad. But yeah, I mean, I got two wolves fighting inside me here, and one of them wants to see the entertainment value of Rhaenyra going full Visenya. But the reality is you don't really want to see that in terms of just cycles of violence perpetuating, things escalating, war crimes becoming even bigger war crimes, and just, it gets...
But Sean, like... her being peaceful has not stopped the violence. She's been peaceful, and look what's happened from Luke to now. Like,
I will tell you what, if I was
also Harris, though.
If I was in Rhaenyra's small council meeting, here's what I would say. I'd be like, Your Grace, over in Bravos, there is an order called the Faceless Men.
hey.
I would be sending assassins to kill Aemond when he's not on Vhagar's back. That's very clearly the answer here. You can't stop Vhagar, but you can assassinate Aemond. I would be going to Mysaria. I would be hiring Faceless Men. I would be trying every way I could to kill that MFer. So this is the one thing that Daemon had right, is like send assassins to kill. But don't send blood and cheese. Hire a Faceless Man. Get a real plot together, Daemon. That wasn't a plot. That was half-assed.
Could those guys have even killed Aemond, even if they got him alone at the right time?
Never.
You could take one look at those two guys and be like, no.
Yeah, Daemon thinks he's such a great king, but like when you look at what he's done, it's like blood and cheese. No.
Yeah.
Is this your king? No, Daemon.
Faceless Men is the answer. Now, it makes the story shorter, but that's what I would do. And short of that, I think they are doing the right thing by getting more dragons. I like that it was Jace's idea. It is also Jace's initiative in the book as well. So that's cool. I'm glad that they stuck with that because it made sense. So why not? So what was this episode about? Let's switch gears a little bit. And we're going to pause I'll come back to the super chats in a minute. Last week, I let myself just kind of be led by the nose on the super chats. I need to give it a pause so that we can have a little bit of structure and then dip back into them, I think. So what was the episode about thematically? It was an aftermath, to use the title of our stream. It was a little bit of an in-between episode. We processed things. So what we're trying to draw out here is the themes. All right. What kind of themes did we see in the story? There was a little bit of paralleling with, I noticed Rhaenyra said to her small council, what would you have me do? Same thing that Aegon was asking last week. Like, what do you guys want me to do? So Rhaenyra's in a little bit the same position. Alicent also feeling helpless. Jace feeling helpless. All responding in different ways. Somebody says the roles that we play.
No, that's oh my gosh. I literally stop it. I just wrote filling a role. Like what,
But
what was this episode about? Who said that? Why are you warging me, person?
yeah, so
But
here's me pulling the low-hanging fruit, and it says misogyny. Yes, it's almost House of the Dragon is running a risk of becoming like a little obtuse about this. And look, I'm no right winger. I'm a leftist. I'm not one of those. It's going woke. I hate it. But like, it's just getting a little two-dimensional here.
we already know it. Like you never have to say it out loud. I promise. Even in that small council scene, was it Iron Rod that said it's because you're a woman? Like he literally just said it. It's because you're a woman. Like it's
I
like you never have to say it out loud. We know it's a medieval setting. We know women are second class citizens.
Yeah,
We know
I
that.
think what's more interesting is to contrast the different ways that people who don't have direct power or who are being minimized in some way, how do they deal with it? So Aegon was feeling powerless, even though he's the king. A lot of these powerless people are kind of trapped. It's not that they're powerless, but they can't take a quick action the way they want to. They have to. And here's the thing, when you're the executive, you do have to use strategy. You do have to use planning. You do have to check into things, listen to contrary points of view, and make sure your plan is the best. People need to have patience to do that. That's smart. But all these people don't. Anyways, Aegon took a very rash action. Jacaerys bounced the idea off at least one other person and came up with something useful. Daemon is out to lunch. We talked about that. Rhaenyra, what does Rhaenyra come up with?
Well, she's
Props
waffled
to
a
Masari.
lot.
She what a lot?
She's got House of Waffles. It's like straight from Atlanta, Georgia. It's serving up the good shit. Rhaenyra's House of Waffles. That is a
But
good
she
call.
can't even figure out her order.
What's that?
But she can't even figure out her order. She doesn't know what to do here. She talked about it, and so it was obviously a theme where, what would you have me do? And then she talks about how she doesn't really know what's going on in terms of war. She tries to get out and do something, again, a parallel to Aegon, where she's like, I want to ride my dragon out there and, do something and help. But like, she is out of her depth. And that's problematic because, again, when you're out of your depth, you don't know what you're doing, it takes away some of that power and you find yourself in that power trap. And now she's kind of at the mercy of the people in her small council to a point, which I think she handled pretty well in one way, where she sent off what's his face to Harrenhal to Daemon, where it wasn't an insult in any way, but she got his voice out of the room, at least temporarily, so that she could, make the chorus a little quieter and make some of her own moves. But again, yeah, it's the power trap. We find people who've made sacrifices to get to a certain place, and because they made those certain sacrifices, they have boxed themselves into a corner, and they are both powerful and powerless at the same time.
Yeah, and that's the thing about power, is like it comes with responsibility, and it's not just a canard like you got to remember to be responsible. Like, it literally drapes you with the responsibilities of sitting at the head of a bureaucracy, and every time you try to lift an arm, it's like, oh, there's 10 people attached. That's how it is. And so that's why it takes incredible patience and temperance. And you look back to Viserys and like, well, he was a ditherer, and he let, crises build and didn't address them. But he did have the sort of temperance. He had the temperament of a king. He was somebody that listened to different people. He had the ability to put his foot down. He didn't always need to do that to prove himself, though. And these are good qualities. So he did have some kingly qualities that we see a lot of people in the next generation lacking. So I think we don't need to write down a different answer. I think that we have used teamwork with the chat to figure out this is definitely about the roles that people play. Aemond getting promoted, Alicent getting demoted, Kristen Cole being like, this is a war for dragons. This is over my head. Yeah, Kristen was tongue-tied as hell, wasn't he? He couldn't even speak. He's just like, what was Aemond's part? He's like, I'm not sure. Could say.
He's got a little PTSD going on. He also
Yes.
wasn't sure he wanted to tell on Aemond in case Aemond now is the guy.
He's terrified. You feel like, yeah. Yeah, and PTSD. You're right. That is exactly what they were depicting is PTSD. That sort of glassy, sort of half there. Yeah, that I think that fits and makes sense. That like with him touching the soldier that was made of ash and having it collapse, I think they're trying to show us that moment was like, what is this? You know.
I liked Kristen this episode. This was the realest we saw him. Like everything he said was real. He was like, "Girl, this is a war for dragons." Then he displayed like PTSD, and then him just being like, "It's Aemon." He just said it's Aemon. That's
And
it. Like,
Aemond is not has no hesitation. He has no fear. It's more Night King archetype stuff, but just looking at the throne, just imposing in every scene, as villain as villain can be. I'm definitely doing an Aemond video this week.
it's like Bran. Why do you think I came all this way? That's his whole attitude. It's like, yeah, it's
And
mine.
Sean, let me get your thoughts on this. I was thinking about Aemond a little bit. You know, on one hand, it's shocking, you know, that he would Dracarys his brother and stuff. But if you look at history, it's not shocking. Like this is standard stuff for siblings to see each other more as rivals for the throne than, oh, it's my brother. We grew up together. Like, no, you guys are a political family. Everything is political. It's all about power. And you've seen it happen in the older generations. You heard about Uncle so and so that got snuffed out in the cradle or killed at a feast or hawking or some shit. And it's like, yeah, this is the game we're playing, zero sum game. Aemond looked at Aegon and he saw weakness. He saw indulgence. He saw the lack wits on the Kingsguard. He saw the total lack of seriousness. And he's just like, nah, we're not following you. You're not going to lead Team Green to success. I know what it takes. And the only way to get me in that chair is to get rid of you. So sorry, brother. And he didn't plan on doing it, but when Aegon flew into that fight, he was just like, you know what? Have at it, buddy. And then once he flew on, yeah, like, so it's not at all unrealistic or unusual or overly villainous. Like that is very common in history when you look at it. I just want to point that out.
And I don't see it as really villainous in any way. Obviously, there's an immoral aspect of it because he basically nearly murdered his brother. When I say not villainous, I don't mean that it wasn't a bad act. The way that I look at it.
Clarify, please do.
I was like,
So first off, there's something that you've talked about, David, where Daemon and Viserys never really got the chance to work together because Otto kind of kept them apart. And the idea is that they would have worked well together because they both temper each other's worst qualities. Viserys is a little bit of a waffler. Daemon is a little bit too harsh and cruel. They could temper both of those aspects of each other and work together well. We have a similar dynamic with Aemond and Aegon, except Aegon doesn't have the positive qualities that Viserys had. And so Aemond does not have the ability really to temper his brother's negative qualities, work together with him, and create a more positive dynamic. There isn't even anyone keeping them apart like Otto. There isn't the ability for that positivity. So he's playing the Daemon role where Daemon looks at Viserys and says, you're weak, you need me, but you never get the impression that he would kill Viserys. With Aemond, it's you're weak, you need me, and you're a terrible king. But when he sees Aegon fly over him into the battle, when he's waiting on Vhagar, he says, idiot. He's not thinking like, oh, I'm about to become king. Mm-hmm. He's thinking like, God damn it, you blew it. And now who knows what's going to happen. And when he, turns the flames on Aegon. The fact is, I don't know if there's a way he could have saved Aegon. Aegon was completely outmatched on Sunfire by Meleys. Did Meleys have him around the neck? I don't remember, but she'd clawed him up. She'd ripped off his wing. He was going to die. Sunfire and Aegon were both going to die.
I was thinking about that since I got into the play-by-play of this whole thing. And what Vhagar would have needed to do was, so when Meleys and Sunfire are tangled, it is very much like when you've got the gun and the bad guy's got the girl and they're too close and you can't take the shot. Okay.
Yeah.
So what Vhagar would have needed to do was sort of hover and wait for Sunfire to get a little bit of separation. And Aegon's and Sunfire's strategy should have shifted to just desperately trying to get away from Meleys. But Meleys had him around the wing, so he probably couldn't. But basically, Vhagar needed to just kind of hover and wait until there was an angle to swoop in and, grab him by the feet. I guess Vhagar could do a flyby and, like, depending on whose back is rotated towards, try to do a grab. But obviously, pressing the Hadouken button as soon as we came upon the two was, it was what it was. It was meant to be an attempt to kill, Aegon. So
you also assume that with the wing half ripped off, that there's nothing stopping Sunfire from basically free falling, and neither of them survive falling from that height. So, what could you can maybe wait and try to pick your spot, but as the longer the situation goes on, that wing goes from maimed to ripped completely off, and maybe you get around the neck. Like, I don't know if that situation is possible to get better where there's then an opening.
I will just say you have to try because it's the king.
Maybe,
so,
but
the king is not an acceptable collateral damage sacrifice.
Yeah, I just made the realm better. Oh no, that's his view. Like,
well, there you go. I did promise some defense of Aemond, and you got it. There it is.
There you guys go.
So let me grab a couple more super chats here, and then we'll go for a scene of the week, having effectively figured out what it is about. Oh, we want fan funding. I can't believe Gray Area made a shirt that says throat goat.
I drink, I'm an inebriation person. So this is one of the purchases that you make it and you wake up in the morning, you're like, wait, I bought that. So
hey,
I got this shirt.
Where can I even wear this?
That's the thing. That's what I was thinking. I'm like, wait a minute. I was like, I can't go out with a shirt that says throat goat.
Well, but I can go on to a stream with 1,200 people.
That's what the only place I could wear it to was a stream, but I do want to wear it out. Like, listen, when I purchase things, I want to wear it, but I'm like,
well, I will just point out that we have a slightly more PG Caraxios shirt, spicy noodles on demand.
Noodle boy.
Caraxios comes from a can. They were put there by artists. This was a Shayna Lacey also, I believe. Let's see here. Yes, Shayna Lacey. See, look, human artist, Shayna Lacey, not an AI with hand. People think that anything that looks like graphic design is AI now. It's terrible. Look, AI stuff, and this is part of the problem with AI, is copying human artists. So it's going to look like human art. That doesn't mean that human art looks like AI. You got it backwards. Any case, Caraxios in different colors, in different sizes. We have women's, we have purple, we've got crew necks, etc., etc. So you get the idea. And you can even wear them out in public.
Yeah, I'm like, dang. Yeah.
I mean, depends on where you live, I guess. Damon has done.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot more acceptable. But I'd wear the throat goat shirt out. I don't care.
So Ollie is saying Damon's had distance from his axe before, but Alice is going to put it on his doorstep. Yeah, like I said, it's the same pattern as with the killing of young Jaehaerys, where he's just sending bad people to do bad things, not worrying if it goes too far. That's part of the idea. So, yeah, didn't learn anything. And that's the thing is, like, he had the chance to. We saw in the dream he looked at young Rhaenyra and she's like, you always leave me to clean up after your mess. That was the lesson that he was supposed to learn, and he clearly didn't. So I guess that's what we're being shown.
Also, Lena, he saw Lena this episode. She's like, "What about our girls? Are you looking after him?" He's
Oh,
like,
that was
"Who?
creepy. Ooh.
Who's that? Who girl? What girls? Who?" I never heard of him. Damon's the worst. Worst father.
In the era of dysfunctional families, the only people that have somewhat of a normalized good relationship are Rhaenyra and her definite bastards, who are basically the entire cause of the war.
Speaking of bastards, Ollie Reed notes that Jace didn't like the Visenya comparison because that would have made him Maegor.
Ooh.
I don't know if that's the message there, but yeah. I don't think Alice is really there because after Strong walked past her, she disappeared. You don't see her walking anymore. I'm definitely going to go back, Lakia, and look carefully. I think we have enough evidence now to figure this out. Do you think Aemond has some regret with what he did to Aegon? Helena implies he did. No, I don't think she does. She says, was it worth it? I think the answer is yes.
God,
Yeah.
But it is interesting that Helena knew. Of course, Helena knew what he did. You know, of course she did.
It is Helena and Sir Simon Strong are just the best supporting characters here. They're the sixth man of the year. They're fantastic. And if and when they get, no, I'm not spoiling. So if and when they get taken from me, I will burn this place to the ground.
Well, hopefully they'll just give him a few lines to work with, because they are both really good supporting characters. That's a good call. I feel like Corlys just wanted to name Bela because he saw she had a spine. Alyssa also had blonde hair, not traditional silver targ. That is true, Carolina Clay.
Yeah.
I don't even know if they did the mismatched eyes, though, so I don't think they're too worried about that kind of stuff. Oh, there was a weird... What did they say? There was a weird canon thing that happened in this episode. Yeah, they were saying Daemon tried to claim Meleys, and Meleys didn't want anything to do with him or something.
Yeah, that never came up in the books, but obviously, you know, Caraxes didn't hatch for him. Caraxes was, I want to say, his uncle's dragon.
Correct. Yeah, Caraxes was the meanest dragon in the dragon pit when Daemon went to go claim a dragon, and that's why he got him. But yeah, they really are just dissing Daemon as much as they could. Like, oh yeah, Meleys didn't want nothing to do with Daemon. Like, what? You just made that up. Like, okay, sure.
I told you the writers are really trying to make us hate Daemon because it didn't work season 1.
I'm okay with making him villainous, but some of the stuff seems like cheap shots.
They swung the pendulum too far in both directions. They made him too likable season 1, and now they've gone too far to making him a villain in season 2.
This is Killmonger all over again, where it's like he's basically right 75% of the movie until he slaughters a bunch of old ladies. I'm like, okay, I guess he's the bad guy now. Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Kill
you
Monger
state
Nation.
facts, but then you kill people about it. Ooh.
Do we think Kristen is terrified of Aemond? Yes, but I think the PTSD was even more what they were trying to show us. Just his general shell-shocked nature. Like this whole thing, I can't, you know.
This guy was ballsy throughout everything. Like, he didn't lose his cool when the dragon was chasing after him and Gwaine Hightower the episode before. This guy has been fearless. He's one of the only, at the time, he was like the only Kingsguard with actual battle experience. He was unshakable until this. And now you see him, like, even everything else in his life is affected, even if it doesn't have anything to do with dragons. He's afraid of Aemond. Even in the council meeting, when they ask his opinion about Alicent or Aemond, he straight up looks away. He can't make eye contact. This dude has lost it.
I think he will make a comeback, but this is an interesting turn for sure. Because you have to, this whole thing is above his pay grade, kind of. You know, he did not grow up around this stuff. And he's trying to get through just by being really hard. But yeah, it makes sense that eventually he would crack and just be like, what is going on? Okay, one more, and then we'll jump back to the questions in the live chat. I think Daemon Alyssa scene is Alice showing Daemon that he will take any young Valerian girl, even if it turns out to be the mother he never knew. I think that could be one angle to it. I'm gonna have to think about that before I give us. Either you guys have it. I mean, we already sort of hit on it, but
It was just
The
the
only thing I could
weirdest
say,
therapy.
the only thing I could say is that what I've been saying is that Damon is a family man, and he's more obsessed with his lineage than Viserys is. And like even like this prophecy stuff, like Oedipus Rex is a story about prophecy. He
Yeah.
learns that this will happen, and he tries everything he can to not have the prophecy come true, and every step he takes makes the prophecy come true. And I think that Damon runs away from prophecy. Maybe something scared him when he was younger, where he was like, no magic, no prophecy stuff. But he's somehow connected to it, and I think it's like he just loves the idea of being Valyrian slash Targaryen so much that it's carnal.
Well, there's something that Viserys said in season one when he was talking to Rhaenyra and eventually told her she was his heir. And he was asking her about the dragons and about Valyrians. And he was encouraged by her response. They're basically like, we're not really different from other people. We just have dragons. And that was his thoughts on it. Like, we're just people. We have disproportionate power because of these dragons. That is not how Damon thinks about it.
I
So
did think it was interesting how Jace was kind of like, yeah, the Valerian history. It's probably got a little propaganda in there. Now, he wasn't saying anybody could ride a dragon, but he was just like, oh, the blood's thin. Like, how thin does it really need to be? Like, I don't know if we all have to be, screwing our brothers and sisters necessarily. So
no, keep
Jace
interesting.
is living proof. Jace is living proof. Jace is probably like, honestly, claiming my dragon was kind of easy, and I'm half. That was his attitude. He was like, it was really easy for me, and I'm only half.
well,
Yeah.
I think a
and
quarter or an eighth could do it too.
we
See,
have kind of a skewed view of how we look at blood and genetics because like it's all over generations. It's been diluted. But if they have one Targaryen parent, we think of them as half Targaryen, even though that Targaryen blood specifically may have been diluted at six different points. So they're like 12.5% Targaryen or whatever at that point. And yeah, it's so is there actually any less Targaryen blood in the main line as opposed to random dragon seeds?
yeah, you don't really do the math on that. It is fantasy and it's a magical bloodline. So, it probably only takes a little bit of lizard DNA to be able to do the connection. Honestly, I think that's what we're being shown. It's the dragons don't pick the person with the most DNA. Like they sort of choose based on something we don't understand. So, like Silver Denny's, looks the part, but doesn't go so well for him. So I think this is a good example of where they could have made Rhaenyra more interesting. What was this about? They don't even know about. Jace is like, there are other people with Targaryen blood. And she's like, oh, maybe there are. They'd be in the history books. And then he's like, there could be a lot of them. And she's like, and it's like, dude, you should know about the dragon
Yeah.
seeds. And she should have been like, oh, you're right. There's tons of them. My uncle, blah, 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 was a big philanderer. We've got at least
You
7
made a few of
bastards.
your own. Like, and then, yeah, of course, like Damon could field an army himself.
So I like that it was Jace's idea, but I didn't like that she was just kind of clueless about the dragon seed situation, and he had to like continue to spell it out for her. It's just like, why? Anyways, I do love the library and the scrolls and all that stuff. It's very cool.
That was cute. Rhaenyra's so studious. Rhaenyra could do no wrong. That's who they're painting. Yeah. Did I miss the poll about whether they think that she should be a dragon or not?
It came out about 65-35.
65 is saying be a dragon.
It's
Mm-hmm.
kind of nebulous, but I
Mm-hmm.
don't think attacking Vagar is the right idea. We'll see.
What? Get Vagar out of here. Vagar needs to be put in a nursing home. She refuses to quit. Get her out of here.
Oh, they were all like, "Oh, Vagar will be tired or weakened after her battle." I was like, "Bitch, go try her. Go try. You try
Tired and
that."
weakened before the battle. Like she's old. It is what it is. She's also still gonna mess you up.
She just gets in a worse mood. That's all.
Mm-mm-mm.
So, scene of the week. What was the best scene of the episode, in your opinion?
The one that comes to mind for me is, dang it, is what Sean said. But should I think of another one? The council scene for me. Allison being shown up, that long pan out. Um,
That scene had a few things going on. That was a great scene.
Eamon coming, yeah, Eamon. And the thing about that scene is, I feel like Eamon probably went to each one of those council members and talked to them. It kind of reminiscent of old school Game of Thrones, the show where like Tyrion, whenever he had to get something done, he had to go to Littlefinger, he had to go to Varys, he had to go to Pycelle, he had to speak to Cersei, he had to speak to a Gold Cloak. Like he had to individually get people on his team, or even if he's just trying to figure out them. I just made that up that Eamon did that behind the scenes. So when he went to council, the reason he was able to sit there so confident is because he knows I already bribed you, I already scared you, I already talked to you. Um, so I don't know.
No,
It's
I
not
think
right
you're
to make
right.
things up in my head, but
I don't know if Eamon necessarily did all that, but the basic concept of what you're talking about is right. There is a difference between playing politics, which Allison is actually pretty good at, and then playing subterfuge, making alliances, etc., which she did not do, clearly did not do, and she has no allies at this point. She did all this scheming, so did her father, so did all these other people, to make her son the head of the leopards eating faces party, and now she is shocked Pikachu that the leopards ate her face.
what's your scene of the week?
Uh, I mean, I'm sorry, I'm not going to pick one, but that's one of them. I also really liked the scene with Bela and Corliss. That was interesting. It was emotional. They made her not the heir of Driftmark while not neutering her as a character or screwing her over for her gender. They made it her choice. I liked that. But yeah, it was interesting and well done, I think, and both the actors were fantastic. So I liked that a lot as well.
So you're gonna go with Bela and Corliss.
Yeah, let's go with
That's
that.
good because I see a lot of people in the chat giving that answer. I'm gonna go with the scenes in the streets of King's Landing. There was two of them, but they were kind of linked. So the first one was they paraded Melis's head, obviously, and everyone's talking about it. I liked how they were talking about what a bad omen it was, and I liked how, of course, Hard Hugh Hammer and Sickle was there. So that makes it the scene of the week for me. But he also look at that beard; it's so nice. Anyways,
Very Russian, hammer and sickle.
um, he's got that beard is like an anvil. I liked he said it's just meat, and he was talking about Melis's head, but then they rolled Aegon's box by, which by the way, can we get a little more respectful ride for the king's injury box?
Well, they had to make it a secret.
No, he's a king.
I
Yeah, but
Just put
if you're
one
going to kill
diamond
that's
on
a
it.
bumpy
you'd be
ass
like, why
ride.
is the king in a box?
They're just like he's in a coma, whatever. Just throw some rags over the box and drag him through the
You-
street. That was not
Why didn't
believable to me.
Aemon could have put him on Vagar, flown him over, put him in the castle in secret? Come on, that was horrible. I wouldn't
I would
even
have
have
been,
the
oops.
box. I
I
know.
was carrying him home. I had him tied real good back there, but Vagar gave a little jolt. And
Look,
what's in
I
the
was riding my
box?
dragon and I saw a butterfly.
Nah, I saw a butterfly.
Vagar
No, Dave,
lunges after. Sorry.
Yeah.
I almost said Meili's parade as well. That was
Well,
a good scene.
yeah, and
And
then
the pulse
so
on the small folk.
so I liked specifically the contrast between Aegon and Melis as these two piles of dragon meat. They're just really showing you how this war is going to chew people up pretty fast, dragons and kings alike.
And someone said in the comments that this is compared to how they paraded Jihadless. How many parades are the Greens going to have? Every time someone dies, you got to show the small folk?
It's questionable. It is. And then the linked scene where the gates were locked, and everybody's.
What was that about?
What do you mean?
Like, why? Why does Aemon want there? Is it just for taxes? Why is he shutting the people in?
This always happens during the wars. They don't want everyone to just flee the city. They also don't want too many people to like rush the city either, for various reasons. They don't want to because it like delegitimizes them. If people flee King's Landing, then it totally delegitimizes their rule. So I think that is the reason. Sean, do you have more thoughts on why Aemon's locked the city down?
Oh yeah, I mean that's definitely a big issue. It's perception, but it's also there are logistical reasons like they could join your enemy, they could engage in trade with your enemy. Which a big part of this war is that there's a blockade against King's Landing, preventing trade from getting into King's Landing. But they're also kind of doing the same thing with keeping, that's why they took Rook's Rest. They were kind of blocking land entrances from the blacks. So they're blockading each other and kind of seeing who dies first in somewhat of a war of attrition. So you can't be losing people, you can't be losing traders, you can't be losing, merchants, etc. And yeah, like you don't know if if some of them are spies who are going to be carrying secrets to the blacks. Like there's just too many variables there to allow that kind of thing to just go unchecked. So it's definitely precautionary.
Sean, you said that the people might flee to their enemies, but Hugh's wife was trying to go to Tumbleton. I was like, Tumbleton? And that's it. I'm like, oh, that's a new town. Never heard of it.
Don't go there.
That's all I said.
Streets
What?
are
I just
paved
said I've
with
never heard of
trees.
it. What is that?
Do not go. Do not go. That's all I'm going to say.
That girl said Tumbleton. I was like, huh?
The Yelp reviews are great.
You can't trust those Yelp reviews, though. The Body Badger Inn. Yeah,
Honestly, everything's so expensive on Zillow.
Oh, Tumbleton. Next season is going to be gnarly. I'll just tell you that, guys. Next season, the atrocity meter goes turn it up all the way. All right, so scene of the week. I took Streets of King's Landing, Maynard James Plum. Just all the scenes in the Streets of King's Landing. Mean streets.
Here's a random question. Does Damon have money?
Does he have what?
Does Damon have money? Does he have liquid funds?
He acted
I
like
think
he
he's
did.
tied up in Bitcoin and NFTs, but his liquid cash is very low.
Caraxes.
As a prince, how much money would you have?
That's a tough question.
I think Caraxes has like a secret chamber in his saddle. There's a little thing under there. You unzip it on the side. It's got a little hidden compartment. He probably would have some gold on him. He said guarantee, so maybe he's just going to pay in promises. I don't know.
You don't think that he has like large amounts because most of the Crown's funds have been taken to Casterly Rock. Laris Strong squirreled away stuff other places. So I'm sure he has some just because like rich people be rich and
Stepstones.
Right. But like generally, yeah, I wouldn't think that he has a lot of liquid cash on him. Again, also be like what David said, they're dealing in promises.
Maybe he was planning on stealing some.
We'll see.
So we'll put that to the chat here. Let me wait for the poll to get up, and then I'll flip over to the super chat questions. But yeah, there wasn't. I don't know that there was one big. It was a lot of little scenes this week. So
yeah,
I'm glad someone brought up Smaug because I was gonna say like how Tolkien is Damon's dragon. Like, are we hoarding gold here? Like, does he have a stash somewhere? Like,
Those dragon
yeah,
saddles are big. I'm telling you, they got at least a couple hidden compartments. Who's going to go and try to steal gold from Caraxes' saddle? It's a very safe place to keep gold.
which character is the most direct analog to Bilbo Baggins?
I'm just happy Damon is willing to pay. He could have turned around and said, "Make them do it," but he's like, "All right, I'll get the money," which is finally something kind of favorable that you can give to Damon.
Well, it's
Like
kind
he
of like
tipped.
he was the wife, you know, and he was trying to deal directly with the mechanic, but doesn't know about cars, and didn't want to reinforce the sexist stereotype. And then at the end, he's like, you know what, I need my car. I'll pay the money.
Yeah.
Mushroom is Bilbo. Not really. Who's Bilbo? I don't know. I don't know if there is a Bilbo in the
I
story.
don't think there is. There are definite Frodos. There's a very definite Sam, and Pip and Gren are playing Peregrine, Pippin Took. But yeah, I don't know about Bilbo.
Sean asking the real questions. We do appreciate that, Sean.
Oh God, it was such a dumb question, but we all like Lord of the Rings, right?
Okay, so I'm just waiting. Well, the poll will come up. You guys will see the poll in your chat. I'm going to go over to the super chats here.
Super chats. Thank you for the super chats, everyone.
Yes, thank you. Parading a dead child. I sleep. Parading a dead dragon. I'm not
I think
understanding.
it's what I said, which is like Jaharis
Yeah.
Well, they were,
paralleling. I think those two things mean parallel. This means
definitely they were
parallel.
both headless.
I
Well,
mean that
yeah.
she supports misogyny and is surprised. That's
That's Alicent.
Yeah, yeah, that was the. I think they were clarifying the whole tigers or leopards eating faces thing.
oh right, right. Small folk now see the dragons as mortal. Yeah, the kid specifically said, "Oh, I thought they were gods or whatever." Yeah, they're potentially setting things up. Am I the only one sad about no cold opens yet? What should be a cold open for the season from Fire and Blood? Well, what qualifies as a cold open? Didn't we do like
No,
oh,
we
like
haven't
before
had
the
one.
credits? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't.
They've typically only done the cold opens when it's something huge and impactful that they wanted to just smash the episode over the head with in advance.
Like two
Uh,
swords. Tywin turning ice into two swords.
that was big.
I had this in my notes. What do you guys think about the sword corn this episode? There was a lot of someone said in the chat that Blackfire and Dark Sister was one sword or something. That there was evidence of that in this episode. I don't know. Did you guys notice anything about this
What?
swords?
They've shown us both swords.
Right. I don't know.
I that may be more of like a symbolic thing. Just when you have
Okay.
like a pair of swords that are connected in some way. They're both Targaryen swords. One of them is literally called Dark Sister, like it's the sister of the sword. It's an Elric of Melniboné thing with Stormbringer and Mournblade being like twins.
Well, they definitely. Let's see. What was Kristen was cleaning his with like a lemon, wasn't it?
Kristen.
Was it like a
Mm-hmm.
lemon he was rubbing on there?
It
It,
was salt.
when life gives you
Lemon and salt.
lemons,
Lemon and salt. And then we saw Jace. He had his sword just against the table, and Frey said, "Don't bear steel against your liege lord."
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I do remember seeing just some close-ups of swords. I'm like,
Yeah, the armorer got involved in the writing of this episode. Yeah, they did show him off a lot, which is cool. Aemond bearing his sword and Alicent noticing he's got the prophecy knife. Yeah, that's tasted turmoil, folks. Yes, it was. The fact no one knows where they should be, what they should be doing. They're all peaceful lords, so both sides are floundering. Yeah, and Maynard Plum added that as far as the themes, roles defined also the limits of power, which we were sort of talking about in the discussion. But yeah, I would say that that was a theme running through the whole episode. Let's check on our poll here. They noticed that the viewers are discussing such as repetitive poll options. What? Are they criticizing our polls?
I haven't seen
I
that.
think we doubled up. I think the polls.
We did. Well, yeah. One it was fixed. It was two polls, but yeah. Happy
Scene,
birthday, that elf Torin.
scene of the week, Bela with Corliss is winning. That's interesting. Interesting. Streets of
I
King's
got to do a
Landing.
shout out too. It's my mom's birthday. Happy birthday, mom.
Happy birthday, mom.
Yeah.
Okay. Maynard says he fixed the. Yeah, I didn't see it, so I don't know what anyone's talking about. Don't mind me. Small Council
Yeah,
25. All right, we'll let that go. Vote on the poll if you haven't. Yeah, the AI is critiquing my performance. That's not comfortable with it. Gotta say.
yeah.
Gotta say. You
It's
know,
like a
cut us
health
some slack
inspector.
there.
Well, I just wished my mom happy birthday on an episode where they had a very graphic Oedipus scene. So if you're uncomfortable, I'm uncomfortable. We're all here together.
Sean, you know what's crazy? You're a Gemini with a Cancer mom. I'm a Gemini with a Cancer mom. My mom's birthday
Uh,
was 2 days ago. That's funny.
thinking about it.
All right, well, I'm glad you guys are bonding.
I'm like, how did
It's
you
just
know my
weird.
mom was like, oh, yeah, I just knew her birthday.
The fact no one knows what they should be doing. They're all. Yeah, okay, right. Yeah, totally. Read that one. Getting back to the themes. So much anxiety for Hugh's wife and daughter. Very afraid for next week and the small folk. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm. I felt so helpless when they blocked in. That was not cool. Like seeing them blocked in. I'm trying to get out. Um,
Well, they are our window for the small folk being sort of feeling suffocated, and yeah, it's tough. You saw like all the food is meager, it's rotten, there's not much of it. People are fighting over it, like it's not good.
if
So
you were a maester, what would you say that Hugh's daughter has?
she looked very pale, but other than that, I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
They haven't
Okay.
told us anything. I was just here to see Tim's cat, but not gonna lie, Sean's outfit makes up for it. Well,
Yeah.
An accident.
try to mix it up. Yeah, Tim is doing I forget what, some sort of uncle stuff. You know how it is.
Life.
After all his pushing for war, Crispy Cole finally got a taste of what war with dragons means, and it terrified him. Yeah, that was an important reaction for sure. Parallels between Tyrion and Kristen this episode.
Tyrion and Kristen. Absolute devastation. Oh, when Tyrion was like walking after Daenerys Torch King's line, he's like, "Oh my god, dragon!" And I guess it's
Oh,
like Kristen, like, "Oh my god."
I washed it all out of my mind. Yeah, I was
No,
thinking of like
no.
Book Tyrion at the Blackwater or something. Yeah, I don't.
Well, that's the comparison. Dragon Aftermath,
Yeah.
shady and
Well,
Cisco.
it's an important thing they have to show us each time. Like it's gnarly as hell. Turning the flames on Sunfire is also a bit personal. He tormented him constantly and corrupted the one place he felt safe, right? The battlefield. That's an interesting point. Yeah, like Aemond feels awkward in the brothel scene or other places. But like, yeah, when it comes to battle, like that's where he feels strong. So yeah, he didn't want to see Aegon there stealing his glory. In therapy, I confront clients addressing inner struggles, difficult truths. Damon's journey mirrors this, leading to his mental healing and peace, except for that it didn't. It
Yeah.
was for the first 2 weeks, but it went way sideways this week.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the acid therapy has gone a little bit too far. But what you were saying about Amond, I think, is absolutely also present in Kristen Cole. He felt like he was as good as anybody on the battlefield, and he was never worried about battle. But now dragons are involved, and it has shattered that feeling of
Of control.
invulnerability and peace, and yeah,
Hmm.
control. Probably the best way to say it.
You found it strange that the dog was hanging around. They're really getting us with the dog. I mean, it lingered in the scene forever. Kristen and Allison are talking, and you can only look at the dog. And like, is somebody going to feed it or pet it or something?
Yeah.
I hope that's going somewhere. Somebody better adopt. Hugh better adopt the dog or something. I don't know. Maybe it's going. It feels like Arya's horse, though. Maybe
Yeah, I think it's Arya's horror.
I don't. We
Tyrek
should
was
make.
not seeing a dog. I don't know.
We need a split screen with both just lost animals of Ice and Fire. I don't understand why they have villainized Daemon but not Aemond. Obviously, Aemond is a villain, but they've made him a more compelling character. I mean, Daemon's pretty compelling too. I don't know if I
And
understand that
Aemon's
one.
pretty villainous. He just burned his brother.
Well,
What's more
villainous
villainous than
versus
that?
compelling. Villainous versus compelling, right? Because I don't think anybody's going to argue Damon's not an interesting character.
I mean, Aemond, he dresses in black. He's got an eye patch. He stands in the dark. He never cracks a. I mean, he's as villainized as could possibly be. He tried to kill his brother. Did you
He has a
see the
parrot on his
previews for
shoulder
next
and a
week?
flag.
I did.
There's a scene with Aemond standing over Aegon's bed, and it doesn't. It looks terrifying.
What? I read that as the Viserys and Daemon scene in the throne room where he was taking care of him. He was giving him a sponge bath. No.
Uh, I don't know. I think I look at Aemon very much as Daemon without the guardrails and the respect and love for his brother.
Hold on a second. Put yourself in Aegon's position. The last conscious thing you remember was your brother coming towards you with Vhagar,
Yeah.
trying to roast you. So if you wake up out of asleep and Aemond is standing over you, you're gonna freak the hell out. That's gonna be the reaction. So there'll be some.
like-
It'll be some serial killer tension, I would expect.
It's like he asked for his mom and he got Aemond. Dang.
Exactly.
Everyone's
What do you think
asking
about the Blackwood's actions? Usually they're depicted as honorable. No, that's not true, Michael James. Yet you just have to remember that every generation is different. There's no house that's more noble or less noble than the other, really. You know, in different times, the Starks do horrible things. It's just, it depends on the individual. And George is, you know, with the Targaryens, he shows us that too. So
Well,
they're
like blood
now. I think
probably
what they're
best.
showing us is that Blackwater Bracken, it doesn't matter. They've got this old feud, and there are some among them who will be eager to use the war as a chance to commit atrocities. And they talked about that last week, too. So, what do you think Mysaria's plan is? What tales will Alinda be seeding amongst the city folk? I gotta say, it's cool to see a battle between the spy masters. Yeah, that is interesting. What do you guys think? She's there to spread rumors, obviously. So what kind of stuff do you think she could get up to? Sean, go ahead.
So I think there's a very definite parallel, and this is not book Varys, but I think there's a very definite parallel to the kind of benevolent spy master who is doing some messed up things, and I mean spying in general is kind of an amoral uh, vocation, but yeah, it's. I think she genuinely wants to help the people of King's Landing. It's all she talks about. You know, and how Rhaenyra needs to use the fact that she's a better person than Aegon, etc., to win the small folk and how important that is, etc. And she keeps talking about how she's getting stepped on, you know, and never accepted by the High Lords. I think she genuinely does want to help things for them, but she's willing to commit atrocities on the way there. Whereas Larys has, you know, is willing to commit the same atrocities, but he has no benevolent background, I would say.
Yeah, I think Mysaria is a very interesting character in that she is willing to do dark things and is very realistic and has suffered greatly, but is generally team small folk. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think basically she sees that Rhaenyra is a better ruler and is trying to help her for now. But Rhaenyra should remember that if Mysaria feels like she's not, then that could change. So we shall see. Baela
Yeah,
Targaryen is winning with the scene of the week. Baela
Oh,
and
wow.
Corlys.
I agree. Do you think Massaria and Rhaenyra are besties? Like, who does Rhaenyra think about? Who does Rhaenyra have the most at ease? She, in my opinion, that she was this episode was with Massaria. Even with Jace, Rhaenyra was a little bit short and flippant.
Yeah, I think Rhaenyra has given Mysaria a position of counsel. So it naturally creates a space where Rhaenyra can be vulnerable and say, what should I do? Whereas with everybody else, she's got to be projecting something, you know, some kind of strength or whatever. So yeah, I
The
think
queen.
that's right.
Girls' weekend.
It's Huh?
I think they just need a girls' weekend. You know, decompress.
Vegas.
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, but it's really just them dancing on
Yeah.
tables and walking home crying with their heels in their hands.
Being the queen is a performance, so Rhaenyra has to perform that with her son, with her council, but she's not performing that so much with Massaria. So that's interesting.
Yeah, well, because she couldn't fool Massaria with that act anyway.
Yeah, I think Rhaenyra should not relax too much around
I
herself.
know.
So loser of the week, guys. We had who was Alicent is an obvious pick. I'm gonna just jump on that so I can just take the easy one there because
Allison?
my brain's a little squishy right now. But yeah, I'm gonna say Alicent definitely was a loser of the week. I mean that's what that whole scene was. Just her like kind of like you could almost hear the reet reet reet, even though they didn't have that music going. Like the slow
Yeah.
zoom into her horrified face, and she's just disassociating. Yeah, it's like yeah.
Yeah. I think the easy pick was actually Damon, but I'm going to not go for that and actually say Jace because, just to subvert expectations. But no, Jace, we
You
see
had it
him
right the
saying,
first
"Oh,
time.
huh?"
You had it right the first time, but go ahead.
Well, I don't like easy stuff. No, but so here's Jace. He's like, "Oh, I feel powerless. I want to do something." And what does he do? He goes to the phrase, and he thinks that he won something, but he really didn't. First of all, he was talking too much with the phrase. I feel like in a way he got by the phrase, like they kind of like little boyed him. Like even when he said like they blatantly said we're more scared of Vagar than we are of you. And the only way we're going to do business with you is if you give us Harrenhal. And it was reminiscent of Rob making a deal with the phrase, well, it's not Rob, more of Catelyn, making a deal with the phrase that you shouldn't have. Like, I feel like Catelyn, the phrase are beneath everybody in Westeros.
Rhaenyra thought it was a good deal.
Yeah, I
She was
know, but
happy with what he did, so I'm not sure how you'd read that it wasn't a good deal.
because of how it happened, like they had too much power. Even how they were sitting on the table, they sunned him. Even he was showing off his dragon and they were just like shrugging like we don't care. And I feel like Harrenhal is, yes, we know it's hard to upkeep and everything, but it is the biggest castle in Westeros. Like you came there with your dragon, Jace, because you were trying to be Daemon. Daemon got fed up, sitting idle in Dragonstone, so he went to the Riverlands. And Jace did the same thing, except I feel like Jace didn't get what Daemon got. He didn't get the upper hand.
I think they weren't clear about what was exchanged, which leaves a little bit of gray area. But he said,
Right?
"What does Rhaenyra want?" He said, "Bent knees," which means when you bend the knee, it means you're sending your army. That's what it means. So I think he did win armies, and whatever they were, if they were foggy on that, the point is that Rhaenyra was happy with what he did. So we're supposed to assume that it was a good deal because she didn't go, "You got fleeced. You gave them Harrenhal. What were you thinking?" She was like, "Oh, I'm proud of you. Good job." So
No, yeah. I
He
can
gave up
agree with
two
that
first
too,
round
but
picks.
it's I still put Jace there just because of just the
I
interaction.
predict
Not
single digit votes for your pick, Nettles.
okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Now that I
I
said that, you will win because
Nettles
No,
is no stranger to controversy.
it
no,
doesn't
my
matter.
own chat hates me. No, that's what's going to happen just because I said it. Go ahead, Sean.
That's
What's
not
your pick?
true.
So I'm gonna pick what I thought was the obvious low hanging fruit. You guys both went after different obvious low hanging fruit. I'm gonna go with the team of Aegon and Sunfire.
Weren't they
Yeah,
losers last week though?
Oh, so you
they
can't
were
be loser 2 weeks in a row.
Well, I mean that's a pretty big loss. I mean, he got messed up. His dragons messed up. I guess he
Okay,
lost
well,
his kingship this week.
yeah, I mean they gave the regency to somebody. That's one. Well, we don't like this decision. I can get you another one. Corliss.
no, Sean. I liked Aegon. You know why? Because I think Allison, Eamon, and Kristen were kind of happy that now Aegon's off the board. He's not dead, he's not dead, but he's off the board. Every episode up until now, he was kind of a liability. We don't know what Aegon's going to do. Is he going to go to a brothel? Is he going to kill people? Like, we don't know what he's going to do. Look at him. He just went off to war. Now we know what he's going to do for at least, what, a year? How long is it going to take for him to recover from that? We know he's going to be in that bed. So he's predictable. So I
How
think
is he the one who got roasted to original recipe when he's out there with his hand to the king extra crispy?
He's barbecued. That's why I said barbecued chicken. But yeah, I mean, Aegon's more of a loser than Jace, so I'll give you that. But
oh my gosh.
hey, this is what we're here for. I'm just trying to say.
I didn't want to say anything. Leave me alone. I say Jace.
Corlys wasn't a great pick. I just really liked the scene. I thought Corlys in general in this episode had very small role, but they were very powerful scenes.
But you're calling him a loser.
Yeah, he lost his wife.
He lost his wife, yeah. It's not like a derisive thing, like who just lost the most, yeah.
Okay.
I don't love it. I probably would have gone with like Aegon and Sunfire, but yeah, there's definitely an argument to be made that their losses happened last episode, not this episode. That his vegetative state did not much change.
Well, Aegon did lose this week only because Aemond took over for him, but that was already baked in the cards after last week. So I guess I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those things where Allison is the obvious choice, but we'll see. We'll ask the people and see what they say.
All right.
There's always plenty of losers. I do think Daemon is losing his way pretty badly. When he came to Harrenhal, he put himself at the mercy of the castle and people like Alice and the old gods and all that stuff. And he's not learned humility. He's making the same mistakes. This is not going to go well. But he hasn't paid the price yet, so we'll see. I know the chat doesn't hate me. I'm just rolling my eyes. I'm just being crotchety. It's fine. It's fine.
One of they're saying Team Smallfolk lost pretty bad as far as loser of the week.
Yeah, getting the gates locked is a big one. That's never good. That's a bad sign. When the city that you're living in is like, actually, you can't leave. Like, really?
Yeah,
Sounds
imagine being grounded with no Game Boy and no books.
It's COVID all over again.
Yeah. I just renewed my passport today because, at the end of the year, I need to, I need to be able to leave if I want to, right? So it's like, just a reminder, if you don't have passports, go ahead and renew them things, just in case.
I appreciate you, Sis Lynn. Look at this, trying to cheer me up as a fellow ADHDer. She finds me relatable. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh, wow. That's good.
Yeah, I find you relatable as well, even though the chat hates you.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, look at this. Yeah.
I didn't even vote for my own. I voted for Allison.
Dave has 4%. Whatever. You don't know me. I'm on Jerry Springer. Whatever.
That's what I want.
I say it every time. I appreciate you. It would be boring if we all said the same thing. Like, you're here to give me shit, and I like to give you a little bit of shit back. I enjoy the dynamic very much.
Someone said the Brackens lost this episode.
They did. Although when you commit atrocities, you're also a loser. So that's a mutual descending into the depths of war crime land. Everyone's a loser.
Someone said Corlys has survivor's guilt.
Well, and he shut down a bunch of important conversations in 2 episodes in a row with Rhaenys, because basically he thought like, she's an experienced dragon rider on the second most powerful dragon in the kingdom. I'm the greatest naval power in all of this. Like, we're bulletproof here. I don't want to talk about the succession. Like, we'll deal with it later. And now there's no time to deal with it. And that's the first thing that he addresses because he's feeling guilty about the conversation he shut down with his wife now that she's dead. So he immediately goes to Bela, his his living granddaughter, with her, and says, "Be the heir to Driftmark." And she's like, "Yeah, that's not a good fit." But that's where his head was at.
That's interesting because Rhaenyra said the same thing. With
Yeah.
Rhaenys gone, I got to look to you, Bela. So Bela's really being asked to step up here in a lot of ways, emotionally and like logistically. So that's pretty interesting.
Yeah. I think with, Corley's survivor's guilt, like for me, I felt like Rainey's partly uh committed like she ended herself because just finding out about Corley's, she thinks both of her kids have passed, kind of like a what do I have left to live for type of thing. And I think that I think yeah, part of me is saying it's Corley's fault that she did that because he didn't reassure her in their last, couple of conversations. She was asking more than she was saying physically. He didn't give that to her. And so she was like, "You know what? I might as well go out like this." So, yeah,
Well,
he should be
wasn't the last thing they did when Corlys showed up on
at the
Dragonstone to sort of
council.
back her up at the council?
Yep. Yep, but that's business. What about families? What about family stuff?
Well, but
Yeah.
she was saying like I'm having a hard time with them, and so he showed up to have her back. So I think they were trying to show us that he
But
was
yeah, but
listening
that's
to
like
her.
it's like a man and it's like a husband and wife who have a business together and also like house stuff. Like sure, you could show up to work and do all the great deals. Thank you. But what about the kids at home? Like are you helping me with them? So I think that's that thing of like the emotional part of it. Like she went to confront him about Alan and he was kind of flippant about it. And I don't think that is so much of her wanting him to say something different. I think it's just coming to the realization that my time here is done. They're like, okay, my kids are dead, but now you have a future. And I think maybe she's feeling like Catelyn, Dave, where she's like, I know I'm not going to be able to sit here and watch you be successful with them. Let me just end this a dragon rider's death. She didn't have too much choices in that fight. She could run away as a coward, which I don't think is in her nature. Um, uh, or die like Lena, exactly like Bayla said.
The only thing I disagree with, I don't think they were trying to show us that they left on bad terms. I don't think that's really what they were trying to show us.
Yeah.
Really, I think that's what he was feeling. But yeah, I don't think that. I mean, to
I
a
think he's
point,
just
she's
feeling her
probably
loss.
frustrated.
I don't think it's really about more than just what a titanic presence that's gone. How do you even reorganize your mentality? You've been married to someone for so long, such a big presence. And that's why he's like, Driftmark is a tomb. It's haunted by ghosts. I can't even like, that was real. Like he's down by the docks. It's where people are talking and being busy. Like that was pretty legit. I definitely
It's good
felt
and
for
bad.
Corliss there.
It's very complicated. So, I mean, we're trying to like boil it down to terms like were they on good terms? Were they on bad terms? Did she like kill herself because of them? And I would just say that it's way more complicated than all of that. And I think they tried to show that to a point, but they just haven't really had the magnifying glass on both of them out of necessity.
I will
But
say that I have not watched the last couple episodes back twice. Episode 3, I just didn't really want to watch again. The last one I watched the battle a bunch of times, but not the first half. So I maybe should go back and study those scenes. I don't know. Maybe my memory's a little foggy on it, but I didn't get the feeling like they were trying to tell us that Corliss has this big regret because of the last time that he spoke to her. I didn't get that, but
Yeah, you guys are changing my mind now too. We'll see. I have to rewatch as well. I'm like, okay, fine. We'll see.
yeah,
yeah,
and I'm glad that they didn't play that up more in the books. Corliss is really mad at Rhaenyra. Oh, should have been you and blah blah blah. I don't really think any of that is needed. Like it really just her dying is sad. It doesn't need to be extra second guessing involved with it. So I don't know.
Okay.
Did Rhaenys and Corliss get in one more before she went out? Of course they did. They kept showing us the post-coitus scenes when they're in bed. So yeah, they smash. Definitely.
She's a dragon.
she
So
felt the way.
loser of the week is Alicent. Jason, single
Woo!
digits. The chat loves me after all. I take it back. I take it back.
Woohoo!
You're happy for
I
me. I
celebrate
appreciate
my
that.
losses.
Let's see here. I will take the sympathy chair. Who won the episode acting wise? What was the acting performance of the week? That's an interesting question. I might be tempted to give it to Bethany Antonia, who plays Bela.
I'll give it to Crispy.
Okay. He
I
showed
think they're
us,
both.
just to back you up, he showed us a different facet of his character that we've never seen any trace of, and it was shocking for that reason. So that's a good call. Fabian Frankel.
So I think those two are definitely both in the conversation. Another person who should probably be in the conversation is Allison.
Yeah.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah, let's go with that. I don't think she's gotten her flowers yet. She's been, up there a number of episodes, but like Otto Hightower absolutely killed one of the episodes. Rainey's killed one of the episodes. So like, she just hasn't been on top yet.
That's a great call. I feel like it's easy to ignore Olivia because she's so great in every scene. Like I always like, how when you're reading the books and you like some characters a little more, and you turn the page and you're like Cersei, and you're like, sweet, Cersei chapters are the best.
The worst, but it's great.
Yes. I feel that way when I see Olivia on screen. I'm like, oh, sweet, Allison is in the scene. This is going to be interesting. I sit forward a little bit. So, and that's not because she's hot. She's an incredible actor. Like her, okay, just a little bit. But no, it's because the character is amazing. The portrayal is amazing. Don't look at me like that, Nettles. I'm kidding. You can look at me like that. Okay, so those are our choices. We'll give it to the chat.
I think she also suffers from the fact that sometimes when you do a really good job acting and the scene is totally believable, you kind of just lose them in the scenery because you're immersed. You don't think about it as acting. You just think about them as the character. And so you kind of lose the performance sometimes.
The chat is saying Corliss and Alice.
Yeah, those are both good picks. The Alice, I thought this was the best Alice Rivers episode, and the actor's name is, I know it. I know. Oh, come on.
I don't know it. Sorry.
I can't remember it. I did know it at some point, but she's fantastic. She also has like the crazy eyes, which is amazing.
Gail Rankin. Yes, Gail Rankin.
Gail.
And it's impossible to tell how old she is, which plays really well with the book depiction.
She told Damon to sit twice. So these are good choices. So honorable mention for Gail Rankin, definitely.
It's like the scene at the
Should
wall
we
in
do
the
a poll
north.
for
Who's
this one?
the
Who won the episode?
wildling
Sorry.
princess who tells Sir What's-His-Face to sit like a dog? Val tells Sir What's-His-Name to sit like a dog. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
Very important symbolically, but it's also just a hilarious scene. Up, Neeler,
And yes, there is a Discord. If you want a link to the Discord, just sign up for a Patreon or YouTube channel member for the low price of $5 a month. And if somehow if you're tight or whatever, just message me on social media. I'll still give you a link. But we gatekeep it just a little bit just to keep the crazies out. It seems to be working. Everyone's very nice to each other there. It stands out notably from the rest of the internet, which is what we're going for. So we will have that poll up in a second for y'all to vote on. And in the meantime, I will jump over to a couple of super chats that have come in. When will Allison find out that Aemon roasted Aegon? I think she kind of suspects, doesn't she? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That was the scene with her looking at the dagger on Aemon and being like, why do you have that?
Because the way she asked Kristen, what was Aemon's part in this? Like, what did he do? And then later she's like, you know what he is. So Allison has completely... Does she realize that's her son and that she raised him? I'm not sure, but...
Wait, both sons. Allison is realizing that both sons, like, I gave birth to both of
It's
two
like, what is
bad
this
eggs.
thing? That is your
I,
son, Alicent.
I damaged these kids. How? Look at them. They're damaged. Who's done this?
Who has done
But you
this
know
thing?
what? It's good for her because what did she say to Rhaenyra in the carriage? Oh, giving birth is so easy. Motherhood is so easy. Why do people make such a fuss? Allison, pushing them out is not the end of motherhood.
No, it's
Like,
easy. Your servants do the rest. It's great.
there's more to it.
Love the childbirth, hate the child. Love the pregnancy, hate the child. That's it.
And we are still all looking for the person who has done this.
I do think it's kind of funny how like it's a way of building Aemon's villainy to show him that his own mother is like terrified of him.
And the
Like
hand.
that was a very cold small council meeting when she's like, Aemon is rash. We've already had to pay for his mistakes. Like she's not talking about him like her son at all. That was striking.
This is
Yeah,
just
that's
like when
crazy.
Tommen took over from Joffrey.
You know, it's interesting because I think on one of these streams I said that I feel like Aemond is Allison's favorite child, and in this season, I guess that's not true anymore. And that maybe that might be a smaller story about parenthood of how your favorite child becomes something else,
So
right?
that happened. That transition happened in the episode where Rhaena tried to claim a dragon and almost died. Apparently, we slept through that episode. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, but
That's where
but
Jason Cregan and Sarah Snow were in that one too. So
there's this book about mothers of serial killers, and you know how like whenever there's a serial killer, everyone says, "Oh, they were the nicest person. He was a good child. We never saw it coming." And it's like I feel like this is Allison. Like you have birthed two serial killer types, and like I'd love to have a deep dive into her mind and her motherhood and what she thinks of it. It's
yeah, and
crazy.
Well, oh, sorry. And I was going to say, he actually, for the first time, beat Damon to something with his Oedipus scene last week.
Hmm?
who did?
Aemond.
How's that?
Oh,
His
in the brothel.
brothel lady is definitely a mother figure, and that's a parallel thing for sure.
Yeah, yeah, some weird Freudian shit going on, huh? That's true. Yeah, I've got an
I
eyebrow
think
raised here at
disturbed
the
you here. I'm
characterizations
sorry.
of these of this. I have to
We need
say.
to meet Dayron. We need to meet Dayron to see that, like the third son. Like,
I
what is
need
he
him
like?
to be like sunny with like a nice disposition and just like a happy kid. I think we all need that.
Well, I think it's interesting that Helena knows what's up. I wanted more from that scene. I felt like they chickened out by just giving us one line. They needed to give
Hmm.
us a little more, but it still was a powerful scene. I'm sure
Do you think her?
Faye Fire will have an entire video about it.
Do you think her and Eamon will get together?
No, especially not now.
Who in
No,
Aemond?
Eamon and Helena.
Ooh, no.
no. She
Okay.
sees it for what he is.
Also, like she's just her relationship with the other brother didn't go great. I don't know if I want to dip my toe in that pool again.
Minty Maelstrom called Daron a Hightower raised private school Daron. That's totally. Do
Yeah.
y'all think Aemon going to be scared of Helena treat her like a threat since she knows about his attempted regicide? They could build that up as like one of the few people that Aemon is more cautious of. We'll have to see what they do with Helena. We'll have to see. Yeah, shout out to Mandolin in the chat. Yeah, we always got some love for Faefire. Daron turned out all right because he grew up away from Alicent. We don't know how Daron turned out. In the books, Daron's hands are not clean of atrocities, so we'll have to see what kind of character he is on the show.
He seems better than his brothers, though. I would say, like, if we're doing like if we're rating atrocities out of 10, he's definitely at the lower end of atrocity doer.
Uh, Don't want to talk spoilers, but that is debatable.
We will see.
So we've got Bethany. Oh, Bethany Antonia's in the lead. That's interesting. Olivia
Yay!
Cook with 31%. Fabian Frankel. I like your Fabian pick, honestly. That's probably what I would have voted for.
Again, I didn't vote for my own. I voted for Fabian Frankel.
Yeah, but we're picking between great performances, obviously. So bottom line is that we are thrilled to be. I just hope that it doesn't get to be like Game of Thrones, where the acting is almost the only thing that we're looking positively at. But do you think Aemond will listen to Helena's visions? Will anyone? I'm waiting. We haven't had any Helena visions in a while, but that definitely seems like the angle that they should be playing with her, right? Like, is she having visions? Those people listening to her? They haven't done that yet. I guess it kind of counts that she knows what Aemon did, because how does she know? Obviously, she got some psychic intuition, but
she's also parallel to Alice Rivers.
In a way. Yeah, Ollie, if I was writing this, yes, I would make Aemon listen to her. I would write all types of episodes around Helena. But honestly, with what I've seen so far, I do not think so. I think Helena is just going to be something for the audience. It's kind of like breaking the fourth wall, where we're like screaming, "Listen to Helena," and no one ever does. I think that's what it's just going to be.
Yeah, it seems like there is almost Cassandra vibes, but we're just sort of waiting for like it to actually happen. So we'll see. So far, it's all for the crowds, not the characters.
Cassandra got killed by like a giant dragony sea serpent type thing. So.
Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting.
Hmm.
Oh wait,
okay,
no.
Our chat.
I'm like, what?
I mixed that up. That's the guy who was saying "Beware Greeks bearing gifts." Cassandra got captured and brought back with Agamemnon, I think. Yeah, I was way off. Don't listen to me.
It's been a while for me since I've read the Odyssey.
It's been I'm not, my Greek myth is like not my strongest of all the myths, because like, yeah, it's just not.
Well, you see more Norse mythology in most literature, so.
The Norse captivated me more, and the Indian mythology and the Iranian, like Zoroastrian stuff, that is incredible. Yeah. It's all incredible. It's just that's what's captivated me recently. Carolina Clay. Will Aemond heat the knife up and learn about the prophecy? He could speak Valyrian. He might notice the glyphs. Yeah, that would be interesting. I definitely think that would be cool. We'll have to see. He can speak Valyrian. I would really love the idea that the prophecy starts wreaking havoc on both sides, but...
Yeah. I'm surprised that it didn't take the opportunity, the dragon fire hitting the dagger. That would have been the perfect time, like him finding it to show that it lit up, to show like how powerful dragon fire is, that even hours after it's still freaking hot. But no,
I mean, when Jace was at the wall with Cregan, that would have been the perfect time to mention the prophecy of ice and fire too, but they were too busy to do that, I guess. So
too busy.
All right, well, let's go ahead and end this poll. It's a clear winner for Bethany Antonia.
Yeah.
And who is winning the war is the final question.
Easy for me, Green.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say Team Black at this point after that last loss, and with Damon going rogue. I have to say Team Green as well. Sean?
Yeah, I'm going to agree.
Team Black's kind of a mess.
There's a lot to talk about, but I think, yeah, impact-wise.
Dang,
I made a Team Green is a mess. Sorry, I made a Team Green is a mess video before the season, but now Team Black is a mess. Was this episode better written than episode 2? Oh, I didn't think it was anywhere close. But yeah, Green is definitely winning. Let's go ahead and put that to a vote, but I think that is an easy call after Bailey's and Rainey's were killed. Now, at the same time, let's make the other case. Their king got messed up. Sunfire's disabled. The guy in charge now might be a psychopath. So that's none of that's necessarily good. Kristen's kind of broken.
The small
So
folk are mad at them.
small folk are mad. So they're not in the greatest position either.
They have lost a lot of mediating voices that kept them with a coherent long-term strategy, like Otto and Allison. Aemond is not as dumb as Aegon, and he's going to do a better job leading the war, but he is still somebody who's going to just ride off on his dragon to roast people rather than, think about, we need to win over the small folk long term. We need to, make alliances with various houses. He's not going to be thinking in terms of long term strategy. He's going to be thinking in terms of short term military strategy. And they've lost all the voices in the room that were looking at the bigger picture.
My
Yeah, it's
question to
always
both.
it's funny that this war is like not so much a series of each side winning victories, but like each side losing things, kind
Yeah.
of, you know,
Yes.
race to the bottom style.
Subtraction by subtraction.
Oh no. My
Yes.
question to both of you guys is, why are the Greens winning? And for me, let me answer it first. Is just because uh they're taking action. It's exactly what I told Rhaenyra. Be a dragon. It's been a season. It's a season and a half now because we know that we're not getting 10 episodes. A season and a half, Rhaenyra. It's time for you to take action, and the Greens have, and that's why they're winning. Even if the decisions are stupid, even if Kristen Cole going out and showing himself wild in the field is a stupid idea, but it's something. In this game of misogyny, like Rhaenyra said in this episode, my course has not been trod before. You're doing something new. So since you're the first woman to play this man's game, you're going to kind of have to act like a man. Like you do have to take action because these men are saying a woman can't rule because she's weak. And you're proving it. It's a self fulfilling prophecy. You're just sitting there. So we all just voted unanimously. I saw it in the chat that it's Team Green. And what's the difference between Team Green and Green Black? Sorry, Team Green and Team Black. Action.
Yeah, it's frustrating how weak Rhaenyra is being portrayed. Like, on one hand, they've shined up her character like she's more altruistic and stuff than in the books, where she's more ambitious and self interested. But she's really weak. Like I said, she doesn't know about the Dragon Sea. She doesn't know what to do. She doesn't have a strategy for dealing with her council. She's not picking off one supportive member, talking to him on the side so that he plants an idea so that she can cap. She's not coordinating or doing any political maneuvering to take control. It's like she's never been in a small council meeting. She has been in many small council meetings. She should be better at managing this. And they're just hitting the same note every week where people are like, "What are you doing?" And she's like, "Oh, I'm not really sure." And it's been like 5 weeks of this. And I'm just like, so over it. I really am over it.
And it's because it was definitely portrayed differently in season one when she was like a cupbearer. Even as a cupbearer, when she was at the small council meeting, she interrupted a couple times with
Yeah, she
actual
had
good
ideas.
insight.
Yeah.
She had good thoughts. She was thinking strategically, politically. She you know she did an action when needed. She went and directly confronted Damon at Dragonstone over the egg thing, and that was the
Yes.
only thing that saved a bunch of lives. She took direct action. Now she's not doing any of that strategic politicking, and she's not taking any action when necessary. It's like getting this power has kind of intimidated her and changed her outlook on a lot of this stuff.
Yeah,
And
and
the
it's
worst.
just it's annoying to me. I'll let you go, Nettles.
No, yeah.
It's like you can be strong and advocate for peace, but they've made
Yeah.
her like confused and uncertain, and it's like the choices are violence and being decisive or being peaceful and like completely scatterbrained, and it's just not always. There has been a couple of moments when she has seemed like a strong and wise leader,
Yeah.
but yeah, the characterization of Rhaenyra has a lot of consistency issues for me. Go ahead, Nettles.
No, yeah, I definitely agree with you. There's more choices than what they're saying. Like you're saying, there's more choices than just be weak or be violent. There's in betweens, and they're not showing that.
She should
I
be
was just gonna
taking
say
yeah
that.
proactive strategy of some kind. Yeah.
I know we did a poll that was just Visenya them or not,
But
but
leave us out of it. We're just reacting to what she's doing. This is different. She has more choices than we have.
All must
But my
choose black or green. Anyway, yeah,
but
guys,
for
it
me,
just I'm I mostly like the show. Don't get me wrong. I like the show.
yeah,
I don't want to
we
be
all do.
negative, but I also want to like give voice to the different takes that reactions people might have to the show. So agree with me or not, let me know in the comments or the chat. But I really liked episode 2. The character work in episode 2 was tremendous, and I felt like it's been very all over the place since then. But we'll see how the
But
rest of the season goes.
but Dave, you have to give yourself credit. It's not about liking the show or not liking the show. How long have you known Rhaenyra? Like I've felt like I've known her for years. Like we know book Rhaenyra. We've made up ideas in our heads. There's theories. Like we've battled people on Twitter about ideas about who Rhaenyra is and her character. So it's not as simple as like hating or loving the show. We're just critiquing.
I wonder a little bit about the Star Wars effect, where with the last trilogy of Star Wars movies, famously, we had different directors, different visions, and they're almost arguing with each other in these movies. I don't feel like it's that bad, but I do feel like episode to episode, some of these characters, Rhaenyra in particular, it's kind of like, is this the same person?
well,
Like,
I think
Yeah,
this all could have been. I don't think they necessarily have to have changed the way that Rhaenyra has behaved in making these decisions or failing to make these decisions. I think if they wanted her to behave this way, where she's waffling like Viserys, then they should have showed some scenes where this huge responsibility that she's gotten and the possibility, probability, and eventuality of war really affected her, where we see it change her outlook on these things, and so that the way that she's handling these things, which is entirely different from her characterization in season 1, like it makes sense why the change. But we didn't really see any transformation. She just starts acting different.
yes, yes. I think that when you're doing a show where you're not showing us everything and you're expecting the audience to fill in the gaps, the writing has to be really tight, or else we're trying to read into stuff and we're not sure. I mean, to me, them saying, "Oh, yeah, last time Rhaena tried to claim a dragon, she almost died." To me, the like professionalism of the writing just went like that. Like, what are you talking about? She tried to claim a dragon. This isn't important, not just because it's exciting. This is important for Rhaena's character. Like, she's a very frustrated character, and we don't really understand why. Like, she's always frustrated. And it's like, okay, you don't have a dragon. All right, we get it. Everyone's got a dragon. You don't. But, like, she tried to claim one and almost died. Like, that's the most interesting thing we've heard about Rhaena, and they just dropped it in a passing line. Like,
yeah,
that's not good writing.
yeah,
There's a writing trope called fridging, and I don't get too much into it, but the idea is basically that you kill someone off screen in order to negatively affect a character who's more front and center. So it because it happens off screen, you don't get the emotional impact of that death. You don't even know the character super well usually, and the entire thing is just to say, oh well, now this character feels bad about it.
Right.
Like, you had this happen off screen to Reyna, and it's like, this not only is that the biggest, most interesting event, like you're saying, it's going to be hugely formative, and it's recent. Like that's affecting the way that she's acting, but we're not getting the impact of it because it happened off screen.
I mean, that was like somehow Palpatine returned, kind of. Like, you told us in
Somehow.
the crawl, like somehow Reyna almost died claiming a dragon. It's like, okay, that sounds
yeah,
interesting. Things we could have seen.
yeah. That doesn't just affect Rhaena. It affects Rhaenyra. It affects Daemon. What if Daemon was there? Like we know nothing about it, and it could have
Which
been so many
dragon?
other things. Yeah,
It happened. It was super interesting.
and it's
Here's
lore.
Damon
It's
losing more
lore.
time
Did
at
she
dinner.
try to claim Vagar after her mother died? Is that what they're talking about? Did she try to claim Vermithor?
So I think
But I want
Vagar, Aemond got to immediately after that was at Lena's funeral, so probably not Vagar, but
Maybe
I
maybe
thought
in Pentos though, before they even came back, like Lena was dead, Vagar was right there. She could have tried right then. We
maybe.
we don't
I
know.
would
Yeah,
assume it
maybe.
was
Who
like
knows?
Vermithor or Silverwing.
But I wanted to say back going back to when we were talking about Reina, the most frustrating thing for me was her reluctance to go to Damon. She said many times that like she wants to go to Damon, but she won't for whatever reason. And to me that's poor characterization because here I was thinking that Rhaenyra will do whatever is good for the realm. And if what's good for the realm is getting advice from Damon or getting support from Damon, she should do it. And she's kind of choosing to be selfish and doing like a lover's spat, lover's quarrel, putting that above what's good for the realm. She's lost. She said that to Massaria. She's shown us that. I mean, if you're lost and you have the realm hanging by a thread, you need to do something to be found. And if that's Damon, she should take that path. So I don't know. That frustrated me. I'm like, really? You're going to let boyfriend, girlfriend, bleacher, high school drama get in the way of finding a solution for your problems?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And Damon did the same thing. Right now we were focused on Rhaenyra, but Damon did the same thing. Like, we need money. Call Rhaenyra. No. Like, Damon, you don't have no money, Damon.
And
Call
now
Rhaenyra.
she's done that very middle school thing of sending her friend to go talk to her boyfriend
Oh
about it.
yeah, with
and it's just
broom.
like Damon's I just I'm having trouble with the idea that he's suddenly just going to make his own case for taking the throne and
Yeah.
Rhaenyra can join me if she wants to. Like
I
I'm
don't know if that's what's going on
Not
though.
my Damon. Not
I
my
think
Damon. Not
I think
my
he
Damon.
is loyal to Rhaenyra. I think he just does not. He's incapable of bowing to authority.
Yeah, his whole family's like his daughters are still there fighting for Team Black, and he's just gonna be like, I'm just gonna atrocity my way into I'm gonna become king with the Brackens and Simon Strong. It's like what? It doesn't even make sense. I'm sorry, but it's fucking dumb. It's dumb. Like
No.
it's a bad
No.
choice. Like it doesn't make sense. I don't care about what Fire and Blood did. I'm
Yeah.
not a Daemon stan. I don't really even like Daemon. I think he's a lousy Targaryen. I'm not impressed with the guy. I am not. But like, I just didn't read the character they were building to be someone that would just turn on Rhaenyra because she called him out and they had an argument and she's all like, you're full of bullshit or whatever. And so he's like, fine, I'll just go to Harrenhal and try to. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna bring all my big feelings to that castle.
Yeah, I agree, Dave. In the books, I didn't read him as so, for lack of a better term, emotional. My wife's mad at me. I feel bad about my dead wife. I feel bad about this. It's like, Damon, we're in a war. Get the soldiers or not. What?
Yeah, all of a sudden he doesn't care about. He was the one that was obsessed with this war. He was using Rhaenyra as a proxy to fight this war, and now he's just gonna. We'll see what they do with it next week. But to me, it's a confusing choice. I'll just say that. So, real quick, people are asking. Thank you for bringing it up. Did he eat weirwood paste? I would love to answer that question. So, first of all, I think we've established by now that the show is not adhering to book canon that closely. So, it does seem to be a substance that is psychedelic. It seems to be loosely inspired by the idea that weirwood paste is psychedelic, but it's not, appears to be the same thing. It doesn't look like paste, it seems to be tea. She boils something on the fire. And what I think it is weirwood leaf tea, because she's got two bowls on the table and they're filled with what look to be dead weirwood leaves. She's smashing something in the bowl, which I think is the leaves. Then she pours the hot water over what I believe is the leaves, and that's how you make tea. Then she grabs a handful of the wet, pulpy leaves, which are bloody because they're weirwood leaves. That's the thing she schlocks into the cup. So that what some people thought, like, is that meat or something gory? It's just weirwood leaves, but they have blood in them. So it's like,
Is that when she was licking her fingers?
yes.
Okay.
So I believe that is weirwood leaf tea, which makes sense. Of course, I had Michael Talks About Stuff on my channel the other day, and he's got a whole theory about Marwyn the mage isn't really chewing sour leaf. He's actually chewing weirwood leaves from the weirwood tree right outside his door, and he's basically low dosing psychedelics, microdosing on the weirwood leaves because the blood, the weirwood leaves are red because of the blood, and that's like actual blood, and the blood has the power. So weirwood leaves should have some amount of blood magic, and then of course the shade of the evening trees. The shade drink is brewed from the leaves. I'm not sure if it's leaves and bark or just the leaves, but it's definitely partly from the leaves.
I don't think we actually know. I think it just says from the shade of the evening trees.
Yeah, you can't believe the warlocks for sure. Who knows? They're not trustworthy. But if we're taking this like if we're interpreting this as canon consistent-ish, then I would say that this is weirwood leaf tea, and it is a mildly psychedelic drink that Alice is using to tamper with his mind. That's how I read it. There are all kinds of other theories out there.
So is this like weirwood paste zero or diet weirwood paste?
I just, the question is if it's weirwood paste is used to initiate green seers. When Bran is given the paste, it's when he's put in the throne, and they give him the paste to activate his gifts so that he can skin change the tree. So obviously Daemon isn't doing that. But some people think, well, maybe Alice Rivers is preparing him to be a green seer, et cetera, et cetera. You guys know I'm not on board with that theory. I think it is weirwood leaf tea that is just making him susceptible to dream invasion. That's exactly what Euron does with his shade tea. He gives it to Aeron, and then he invades Aeron's dreams and terrorizes him. So it seems like a very parallel experience to that.
Well, and Aeron also has the blue lips. He's been taking Shade of the Evening, so he's basically bringing them both to the spirit plane, or however you want to look at it.
I have a question, and it might be putting you on the spot. So what would you, because I honestly just don't know. I know everything, but somehow I don't know this. What is the difference between like weirwood paste visions and visions that you would get from sleeping on a weirwood bed? Or weirwood stump, like Jamie?
That is a great question.
Like, is there a, yeah.
Yeah, so the one example we have is Jamie sleeping on the stump. Jamie is not suggested as a skin changer or a green seer, so that leads us to believe that any normal person can potentially be given a psychic dream by the old gods. We don't know if you have to be touching it, or maybe if you're sleeping in a castle with the weirwood. Who knows? But Daemon, obviously, in the show, has a weirwood bed. So that is very similar to Jamie sleeping on the weirwood stump. Probably Ryan Condal took inspiration from the one to make the other. So that, to me, is similar. But now it is morphed. I'm sorry. We're answering your question. And then with Bran, he has psychic dreams before he gets to Bloodraven's cave. But they give him the weirwood paste so that he can skin change the tree, essentially, because it seems like a very hard thing to do. They say that his blood makes him a green seer, but the paste awakens the gifts. So it's something that enables a psychic conduit or bond, much like the dragon binder horn, or whatever ancient blood sacrifice the Valyrians did that put the lizard DNA in the Targaryens. That gives them the ability to form a psychic link. So the weirwood paste serves that way. It's like you're putting some of the weirwood stuff in you, and then you can. And so the tea works the same way, though, because he's sleeping on a weirwood bed. Alice is probably, well, not probably, but she might be a green seer or a skin changer, or maybe a Jojen-style green dreamer, or just a witch that's learned how to use the weirwoods a little bit. Who knows? But the idea is the weirwood tea works together with the bed and the environment to enhance the dreams, and probably gives Alice a way to reach in there and either spy or actually tamper. That's
my consistency.
We haven't seen this in the books where someone could like, it's almost like she's also manipulating time with Daemon, because he's not aware of like putting his socks on, putting his shoes on, getting ready. He's already in the hall eating his dinner. So she's like taking a whole 8 8 hours from him sometimes, 6. Like,
It's
I
hard
don't
to
think we've
say
seen
what's
that.
happening. Yeah.
It's definitely giving body snatch vibes, and I've a couple of things to say about it. First off, I apologize for being this guy, but Jamie saw his mom in the dream too.
Yes. It's like, would you say Weirwood dreams are
He didn't eat her
seeing
out, though,
things
at least. Go ahead.
past?
God.
Weirwood dreams are personal, and maybe Weirwood dreams are personal, and maybe Jojen paste is external. Eh?
Right. Yeah, well,
Um,
I mean, it's meteor. So the werewood paste versus the werewood possibly tea, they have a different consistency. You have 30% more Jojen in every cup for the werewood paste. And so like if you're putting an actual like green tea, or in that case green dreamer in it, like I've heard, I'm pretty sure it was Dave arguing that that's the real reason why it's jump starting the gift.
Sorry if I made anyone spit their drink out. I feel like we hadn't had anything in a couple minutes. So I have convinced my audience of the truth. That's good. Weirwood leaf tea, 65%. Paste, 26. Something else, 9%. Very good. We'll have to see. It's whatever they want it to be. So, it's dragon glass tea. Everything's dragon glass.
Yeah. It's
Maybe
funny.
I
Jamie
think
was
you go.
Okay. I was going to say, Jamie's the one who's practicing the most direct incest, and he's the only one who didn't get weird in his dream.
Yeah,
With his mommy.
you're right. How does that figure?
But Dave, I think you're right. I think it's both, and maybe that's saying something about dragon riders. Like, for someone as magically powerful as Damon, you need both the Weirwood bed and the tea. Maybe one isn't strong enough.
The
I
werewood
think
bed is
that I think the
interesting.
tea is what gives Alice the in to it, potentially. But hard to say. I do like the idea that they're drawing on Shade of the Evening and saying, well, what if you could make something from the Weirwood leaves? Like, I like the idea of it. I just don't trust. I don't
We don't
trust.
know yet.
I'm having
Yeah.
flashbacks to the spirals, to be honest.
Oh, God. You've been hurt before, and you're now afraid to love again.
I'm
But
very much afraid to love again.
yeah, I mean, I like the idea of the werewood bed. That's interesting because it's definitely playing up the parallel between Jamie falling asleep on the werewood stump. But it's also definitely an Odysseus thing where he built his bed into a tree. Like he built it into a tree that was there. Like he
Mm.
built his house into the tree and the bed onto that tree in a very interesting way. So it's like it's kind of playing up that connection. And there were some interesting, kind of like semi-magical properties of that bed in the Odyssey. So there's a definite parallel there as well.
Cool.
Maybe you should make an Odyssey House of the Dragon video, Sean. Because everything you mentioned, I'm like, it rings a bell, but
Oh, I'd have to go back and read it for sure because it's again, yeah, it's been a while to the point where I did Cassandra dirty.
yeah.
Very good. So let's go ahead and take closing comments and then wrap this one up.
Woo! Best
So-
episode ever.
I had a good time, but I have to pee so bad.
That was perfect, Nettles. Sean, you can take a break to go to the bathroom anytime you want to, buddy.
I'm out of champagne. Give me some, Sean.
It's this is orange Moscato. Oh wow, that's
Orange?
it's just the cup that's blue. Yeah, I don't know. It was around.
Yeah, so I was thinking about that, Grave King. The fact that she's licking her fingers means that she's partaking of the same drink that she's brewed up for him. So that's why I was saying maybe that gives her an in. But it's hard to say. They're probably going to keep all that pretty mysterious, as they should.
So
I think experientially it comes across pretty cool. It's like it's trippy, but it's a little unnerving and almost irritating. You're like, damn it, I just want to know what time of day is and like what's going on, but you don't get to because that's his experience. Like it's all messed up. So all I know is that committing atrocities when you're the Lord of Harrenhal only goes one place. So
oops, all war crimes. But real quick, just the something we didn't really mention is that Alice seemed to know what Damon saw.
Of course, she puts it in his head. Damon's not seeing stuff that's of his soul. It's not like Bran. Bran sees where his soul takes him. Alice is putting things in. She's putting the women's screams. She's putting his mom. She's putting Lena. She's putting Rhaenyra because Alice is a feminist.
I'm
And
just
she
So
wants
glad
to
she licked her
remind
hands
Damon
before.
of every woman he's hurt.
I was trying to allude to that, Sean, when I said she's either spying or tampering. Because, yeah, they always show us that she knows what he was just dreaming about.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy. I don't know. Because George is a feminist, I'm so disappointed. I thought Damon was some sort of medieval feminist. Call me naive. I'm a summer child. And so it's almost like Alice is saying, you never valued women. And I'm going to remind you of this. I don't know.
I took that mostly as a Team Small Folk
That
message.
too.
But she was, I don't know what the whole point of the,
Lena.
yeah.
I like
Yeah,
that
you're
now.
right. No, you're right, Nettles. You're right. You're right.
His daughters.
Yeah.
Rhaenyra. I don't know. It's too on the nose and therefore boring for me.
I just feel
Um,
like Damon's, I think part of the critique of this is the what should have happened. You know, Maynard James Plum, when we talk about the show, he said something several times. The Targaryens had everything they needed to be prosperous. They had the dragons, they had all these different heirs, they had the Velaryons, they had strength. All they had to do was stick together. And I mentioned on the internet, like when they showed us on the internet, we're on the internet right now, on Twitter. I mentioned the other day that, like, with Damon seeing Aemond as a version of himself in Harrenhal, right? He's following Aemond, but then he turns around and it's actually Damon with an eye patch. I took that to mean, like, Aemond should have been Damon's protege. This was the person in the next generation who was like Damon, that Damon could have passed on his secrets and training to, someone that appreciates the scrolls and the ancient Valyrian knowledge, someone to pass the torch to the next generation, to keep this very important part of the Targaryen identity alive. But instead, they see each other as rivals and they seek to destroy each other. And so when you're talking about the women of the family, someone like Damon should be the protector. He should be protecting all these women, protecting their whole family, protecting the children. He should be the fierce dragon that is protecting his family. And instead, he's very quick to abandon or turn on or turn against or distance. Like, he's always at odds with his family instead of protecting them. So it's very much like, and it's not like he's the only one to blame or whatever, but I'm just saying the whole house has failed. And they have the tools that they need to be successful. They have the people that could train the next generation, but instead.
You're just sitting there wishing he were Dany.
what?
What do you mean?
Yeah, I mean, she's very much a protector figure. She works to protect the
Okay.
small. Like,
Yeah.
she uses her dragon power that way. And Daemon is just like, even the times when he is technically protecting people or like protecting Rhaenyra's claim, it's kind of tangentially for benefiting himself, etc. Yeah, I mean, the entire Targaryen family snatched defeat from the jaws of victory here. And it's a very slow, brutal fall.
I don't think I don't think Alice is corrupting Damon through the tea. It's the opposite. She was trying to help him. The first two dreams were therapeutic in helping him confront things. He chose not to learn those lessons and went and committed the exact same mistake. So no, we're not letting Damon off the hook. Alice is not corrupting him. That's not why he's going against Rhaenyra. He's doing it because Show Damon is apparently just a really shitty person, and that's the character that they're giving us. So,
Dave, I
let's
was
start.
just gonna say, I really like what you said about Targaryens sticking together and how Aemon could stand to learn a lot from Daemon. Like, imagine we saw
Imagine, right?
we saw Kristen Cole training Aemon, but imagine a scene where Kristen Cole trains Aemon and then he gets training from Daemon. Imagine Daemon teaches him how to bomb with a dragon. Like, one thing about Daemon, you can talk crap about him, but he understands dragons. Like, that's what the moment with Vermithor was for. Imagine if he could give Aemon tips about controlling his dragon, and Aemon wouldn't have lost control with Luke.
Well,
So it is a shame.
And it
and
started with Viserys too. He's a dreamer. Didn't even notice that his daughter was a dreamer. He never counseled her on how to handle that. They never connected that. Aegon's dream, not something he talked about with Helena. So these are things that could have tied the family together. Go ahead, Sean.
well, I was gonna say, like, you're talking about, like, imagine a world where Damon was giving Aemon that training and they had that cohesion. He's not even doing that on his own side. Like, he was not helping
Yeah.
Jacaerys or Lucerys or any of those people. Like, he was not. There is no cohesion on any side. Every one of them is kind of out for themselves. And I
No,
mean,
he did
they
with
found that
Jace.
down
Remember?
for Rhaenyra
A
from
little bit with Jace. Could have been better. Could have been more with Baela. Yeah,
he
Baela
ignored.
kind. Yeah, I mean, he's not been a very good father to Baela, and he. Yeah, I'm having a hard time critiquing the character because my immersion is kind of breaking with it. Like, they're making him so rotten that it's just hard for me to. I guess I'll just have to adjust to it.
Well, I think they made him. They made it a more dramatic, darker figure because they're having this arc where he's having to confront himself in all these different ways so
Okay,
that they can kind of give him sort of a not redemption arc but something similar.
so here's my problem. In season one, Damon's angst comes from the fact that he is uber Targaryen and Viserys is not Targaryen enough. He's
Yeah.
not comfortable with the dragons. Daemon loves the dragons. In the
Mm-hmm.
scene where Viserys is telling Rhaenyra, "We don't control them. I'm scared shitless of the dragons." Actually, Daemon is petting Caraxes and taking his girlfriend on a joyride. So it's very stark contrast. So Daemon, we were shown that like he doesn't really want the throne. He just wants Viserys to be a big boy, and he wants Viserys to rely on him to make the house great. And when he wants to marry Rhaenyra, he's like, "We'll make the house great again. We'll have a Valyrian wedding and just be Targaryen as hell." And
Mm-hmm.
now he doesn't care about his family at all. That's the problem I have. He doesn't care about his daughters. He doesn't, it's just he just walks right by them. There's no bond there. He's not training them. He's
Yeah.
abandoned them now. He's just going to be king. He doesn't even care that Rhaena and Baela are with Rhaenyra, who, by the way, is his wife. He has two other kids with Rhaenyra,
What
Aegon
about
and
his reaction to
Viserys.
Rhaenys? What about
What?
his reaction? He didn't care about Rhaenys. That's a big blow.
Yeah.
Anyone else would have flown back to Dragonstone. Are you okay? What do we need to do? Plans have to change.
So like he can be hard and evil. Like I don't have a problem with him committing war crimes and atrocities. That's fine. But like, didn't they show us a character that is all about Targaryenness and the
Yeah,
greatness of
They
the
did.
house?
he doesn't have both. He just has one. Like he has all the negative qualities without the redeeming qualities this season. But like it's also just there's some powerful irony in the fact that he's the Uber Targaryen. He's the one who is emphasizing the importance of dragons and the Targaryen line and all this. And he's not even the one who knows the prophecy. Viserys knows the prophecy, and
Right?
he's
Why didn't
all for getting rid of dragons, basically.
Rhaenyra mentioned it? He never circled back to ask about after he calmed down and be like, "So what was that about? Prophecy?
Yeah.
What? Aegon?" Like
Like, no, this meeting is going to stay an email. We're not talking about this again.
he hid out at Pentos and just read Valerian scrolls for years. He clearly is into that kind of shit. But he
Or he
wasn't
just
curious about it. They didn't talk about it. He's not showing the kids how to pull the eggs out of the goo and
No.
how to sing to Vermithor. Why isn't he showing Baela how to sing to dragons?
just really self-conscious about his singing voice.
That's my problem. That's it. In the
Yeah.
season one, he was like all about the house and stuff. And now like he just couldn't give a crap about any of his family members to the point where he's abandoning his two children with Rhaenyra to make a claim on the throne. Who's his heir? Who is going to be his heir?
Well, I think that's what he's upset about is that his heirs are not the ones who are going to, be on the throne. It's
Then he
Rhaenyra's
needs to
children or
say
someone
that.
else. What?
What's that?
I'm saying he needs to say that then. That has never been brought up. That's a good point, Sean. I freaking forgot about that.
He
It hasn't
doesn't.
been
He
brought
doesn't
up.
ever talk about his feelings. That's why Alice is trying to have therapy with him.
No, but I'm saying like if he's going to claim the throne, like his children are with Rhaenyra. And he's all like, well, Rhaenyra can join me or not. Like, what's his plan? This is just, it doesn't make any friggin' sense. It's kind of like when they showed us at in episode 1, Rhaenys gets home from the dragon ride and Daemon's just like, we're going to King's Landing. Come on, get on your dragon. It's like, that's not realistic. That's not how you would do that. You'd go up to her and be like, hey, I think we could take care of this. You know, like, what if he would at least talk? He wouldn't just try to order her to, like, no, you can't even eat. We've got to go do it now. It doesn't make any friggin' sense. It's the same as when Dany was like, we got to march on King's Landing. And everyone's like, well, we need a couple days to feed the army. And she's like, no.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you want me to hate this person and think they're dumb now. Okay, I guess. It's not.
Yeah, you're right about that. Rhaenys would have been down if he said, hey, in 2 weeks, we're going to plan this thing. We're going to go to King's Landing with me and you. And of course she would listen to you because it's in 2 weeks. But you're right. He's like, right now, you can't eat. Like, what?
It's just like, slow down with the scene. Take 5 minutes to let them have dialogue instead of trying to show us, like, Daemon wants to do stuff and he's trying to, like, do rash things. And so well, how can we show that in 2 minutes? Well, have her just walk by and grab her and be like, we're going back out. She's like, no. Like, yeah. Anyway.
Well,
the Alyssa scene made me sick. Yeah, it was weird. Kind of sad they didn't give her a signature look. I do not like the King stuff. I think they're giving Daemon a redemption arc. I don't want that for him anymore.
Yeah.
That would be interesting. Well, so let's consider that. Maybe they're making Daemon so... Are they setting up a redemption arc? Or are they just gonna...
Of course they are, but we don't want it.
It's problematic. So when you had and I struggle to call them redemption arcs because it's kind of like a do better, but you can't really make up for all your sins arc, the way I look at it. And when they did it with Jaime, they started at the bottom. Everybody all hated Jaime. He was the Kingslayer. He was practicing incest. Then they started to show that he had some redeeming qualities, even if he can't make up for his sins. And he started doing better and blah, blah, blah. So they had somewhere to go from the bottom. With Daemon, they showed some redeeming qualities. Then they made him much more awful. So they went down before they... And it's just too much movement, you know? It's a roller coaster.
So I think I want to go back to something someone said in the chat earlier, which is someone was just like, I don't think they should have different writers for each episode. I think I agree with that. I think that it should be, if you're going to have a writing team, they should write all the episodes together. I don't think you can create an outline and then hand everybody a piece of it. Like, that's how you get these episodes where the characterization just feels back. I think it's a structural issue. I don't even know that it's... And then with the Star Wars thing, too, it's just like, you know, just give it to one of these guys. I prefer Rian Johnson's vision, but the problem was consistency. So it's like, just let one person do all 3 movies. It would have been better. So I think maybe that's the opinion I'm coming to, is like having different writers for different episodes is just a little bit... It's hard to get it consistent, you know?
I didn't know that they did that. I assumed it was a sort of round table writers room thing. That's
there's
awful.
some of that too. They write the outline of the whole season together, but the dialogue of each episode, I think, is written more piecemeal. And
we need peer review for a show of this magnitude. I'm so sorry. Like, even me, like, I'm capable of writing for this show, and I would still give it to you and give it to 12 people and say, read this and tell me what you think.
I had 5 or 6 moments in the show when I was like, I think I could have written a way to do that better. Yeah, definitely.
Where you look at a scene and you're like, did they really test audience this?
We'll see. It seems like separate movies. That's the thing. When you have different writers writing an entire episode by themselves, it seems like just different separate movies. And I just like
good. One of the things that, like, look, we're talking about... Okay, one of the reasons why I'm annoyed with the whole men and women thing that they're doing here, because not all men are martial. I'm not a martial person. I'm skinny. I don't go to physical confrontations when I have a problem. I try to use my words, okay?
Yeah.
Use your words. Rhaenyra is an incredible speaker and a very smart person. We saw in episode 2, we saw that Rhaenyra perform incredible feats of rhetoric, see through Daemon's BS, and be a very galvanizing character. So why don't they show us her in the small council taking a bunch of bullshit, and then all of a sudden being like, I didn't claim this throne for nothing. I claim this throne because my father gave it to me, and I'm responsible for all the people of the realm. And like these guys' asses on fire, make them go, oh, yes, Your Majesty. There's different ways to earn respect. You don't have to be big sword man. And they just keep showing us, oh, they don't respect her because she's a woman. They don't respect her. She doesn't have a penis, whatever. And it's like, she's a powerful character. She is a smart character. She has wisdom. She has this connection to ancient knowledge. She has stature, all of House Targaryen, King Viserys, all these things that she can draw on rhetorically. And then instead it's just this absolute dithering and just like, oh, I don't know what to say. They're talking over me. It's like, she should be a stronger character than that.
Well, look at Jaehaerys. Like, Jaehaerys did not even go to war one time, and then he had one tiny war with the Vulture King when he was like almost 60 years old with grown sons who fought with him. He was already respected for decades.
Because he would dress people down. He would put Oris Baratheon in front of his dragon and then dress him the F down. And then it was like, oh my God, I think this guy might feed me to my dragon. And Book Rhaenyra does feed Vaemond Valerion to her dragon. She is that kind of person. And instead they give that to Daemon. Daemon's always threatening people with dragons. Rhaenyra doesn't know what to do.
She's perfect. She's never done anything wrong. David, I agree, and
so
honestly,
does the chat too. The chat loves me right now.
I hate to compare them, but
Rogar,
Daenerys,
not Oris. Thank you. All the Baratheons are Robert to me. Sorry.
But I hate to say it, but Daenerys does exactly what you're saying. We've seen it in the books and even in the show, where Daenerys is able to garner respect from men, even without using her dragon. Before she ever had some dragons, she was demanding respect because what? She took the time to learn Dothraki. She took the time to do these things to make people see that I'm more than whatever you think that I am. They could do the same with Rhaenyra. It's either they're doing it on purpose to make us not like her, or someone's not writing good enough. Someone didn't finish 12th grade English.
It could be that they wanted to contrast her with Rhaenys, and Rhaenys is doing the quiet strength, and so they didn't want Rhaenyra to be too similar to that, maybe?
Rhaenys
She's
is
the queen.
a queen.
Yeah.
We will see. I think everything is for a reason. I'm choosing to have faith in these writers that even this conversation we're having is for a reason. Next episode, like I think the perfect answer is someone saying they're setting us up for Daemon. We have to hate him now for the arc to work, right? We have to be confused for the arc to work. Same thing with Rhaenyra. If Rhaenyra, this isn't like a book spoiler or anything, but if Rhaenyra goes Mad Queen, at least we've seen a season and a half of her showing restraint and her showing, I'm a goody, I never do anything wrong, so that maybe to set it up for her to go Mad Queen. I don't know.
See, like Book Rhaenyra is very insistent and aggressive. She is pressing for things to happen. Even though she doesn't fly her dragon out into the middle of it, she's not dithering. She's like pissed off that the Greens took her throne, killed her son. She wants to do something about it. And it's Daemon who's actually like, well, we can't necessarily just throw the dragons right at King's Landing. We got to think about this. There's better ways to use them.
Yeah, her actions and her acting in extreme ways forced Daemon to play good cop for the first time, and it was weird.
I like that better. Sorry.
It was more interesting. So what I would say is that somebody was asking, so we're leaning into the show. Are you saying that the show is leaning into men are bad and women are good? I think I would say they are losing track of different ways to portray strength. The portrayals of strength are a little bit shallow. They're on a two-dimensional axis, whereas in Ice and Fire, we see a lot of different kinds of strength from both men and women. So thank you for the gifted memberships, Purple Lemonade. Go ahead, Nettles.
Or Sean, you want to say something?
Oh no, I just
Well,
said soft and hard power. That was it.
I was gonna say I don't think it's men are bad, women are good. I think men are violent, women are passive. I think that's
Yeah,
what it is.
yeah,
And
it's a
that's
Which
lot of
is
that.
like
disingenuous to both. It's
it's like
not
we know.
interesting.
Show me something else. Show me Robb Stark versus Jon Snow, which are very similar types of masculinity, but aren't they so very different? Like that's what I want to see. Like when things are so similar, but there's
So Jon Snow is a great example of someone he does rage out. There's a couple of times
yeah,
when he completely rages out, but apart from those times, he is a good example of someone who uses strategic power. He doesn't just yell, he doesn't just shout people down. He argues with them. He makes points. He's strategic. He obviously made a couple blunders too at the end of Dance with Dragons. He's not perfect or anything, but yeah, that's the use of power in Ice and Fire is very complex and subtle, and feels a little two dimensional here on the show. But I think I've made my point. I don't want to bemoan that.
yeah.
We do. I do want to see how the season turns out. I feel like we'll have more. We'll be able to come to figure out how we feel about some of this stuff after we see where the season finishes. But all right, well, I think that is a stream and a half there.
Yeah.
So,
I do have a question. I
oh
do
yeah,
have
go
a
ahead.
follow- Kind of just to wrap things up, like my question is, what do you want to see next week from maybe your favorite characters? But since we have been talking about Damon to end, I want to say like, what would Damon have to do next week to redeem himself? In your opinion,
He'd have to come back to Rhaenyra's side and help Rhaenyra out. He needs to take his army that he's gathering and be like, actually, I should help Rhaenyra fight her war after all.
Yeah, and to put a finer point on it, that involves him swallowing his pride, which is the biggest issue with what he's been doing. He has so much pride. He wants to basically be considered king, not king consort. He's unable to really respect her
Oh,
authority, even if he is, fully invested in her cause militarily. He's got to swallow his pride and be somewhat subservient to her as his queen, which he has not done and not been willing to do.
yeah.
not gonna happen.
Needs to kneel and
Not
mean it. I was just going, oh, we've got actually several super chats that I missed. This episode didn't answer any questions, only made us more frustrated. I'm hoping for the next episode to do some legwork. Yeah, I don't feel like we moved the plot a whole lot this week.
Yeah.
Ollie Reed says it would be interesting in an alternate world where a black starts on the throne. How would the Greens be matching up at this point? I'm not super good with hypotheticals, Ollie, but it's definitely a big part of the story that Rhaenyra was on Dragonstone, hiding her treason babies, and that is why the Greens started off with. And I love them; they're great. They're great kids, but
No baby is a treason baby.
I just like saying it.
No, well, they kind of are.
Let's see. Are there any examples of magic coming from non-blood fueled sources? The water magic of the Rhoynar. Yes. Well, I mean, all the elements can be used for magic. It seems like water, fire, air, and I guess you'd say earth or the trees or something. But blood is definitely the currency. Let's see. Is there?
I think
I don't.
even water magic needs a big sacrifice. I think it's
Yeah,
a big
we don't
sacrifice
actually
of
know.
blood.
It might. It might. Yeah. I'm trying to think if
Um,
there's any magic that doesn't need any sort of blood sacrifice that we've seen.
so we don't know that any magic doesn't. We know that a ton of magic does. There are things like Shade of the Evening. Does it have an element of blood? Like, is there blood involved in making
The
that? We don't
Jojen
know.
paste seems to, and the Weirwoods just to exist seem to need blood sacrifice. So that whole power is working off of that. I was seeing Melisandre's flame visions. For her to see the vision, she experiences pain and transformation. So it's
Well,
not
she
that's not
drips-
free either.
she
She is
drips
the
black
sacrifice
blood.
there.
What
She
glass
drips black blood
candles?
every time.
Yes.
What?
Glass candles might not require much.
We don't know how those are lit.
Love that.
They might require blood to be lit. I think that is why we hear about the novices sometimes cut their fingers, trying to light the candle. Like it's not just
Okay.
because they're touching it and it's sharp. It's because some people think maybe that's how you would light it is with blood, and that does make sense.
Yeah.
But we don't know.
The party isn't lit until you get blood sacrifice involved.
Correct. Let's see. I read that one. Tracy, I don't know what you mean by direct chats. I love you, but I don't know what you mean by that. I don't have direct chats. Do you have messages where you're tagging me in the chat? I don't know what you mean. I looked in the PayPal. I didn't see anything either. Jack Plunkett, this episode brought all the subtext of the story to the forefront and did so without much care or insight, but I have faith in the rest of the season.
I have faith too.
And Purple Lemonade gifted some memberships. I said thank you for that, and thank you again. And the final line of the episode from Rhaenyra saying, that is a mad thought. Yeah, I did like that. The dragon, we're going to find some dragons sort of twinkle in the eye. Like, this is kind of crazy, but let's do it. They need to do something.
David, real quick, the ats that Tracy Methrell was referring to, she rewrote her question, and it's about George R. R. Martin not being in the writer's room next season.
Well, we do want him to write books, so that's good. And I am under the impression that him and Ryan have a really good working relationship, and he can draw on George's. They shouldn't need him to hold their hand and write this shit. Like, he's laid the stuff down. Ryan can talk to him when he wants. Like, he's not making the TV show. He's just there to consult with them. So I'm not really too worried about every little detail we hear. The main thing is that they have a good working relationship. That we know. We know that George likes the show. The thing we need to let go of is that the idea is that the show is showing us the book reality. It's not. It is doing a version of the book reality. If they want to make 3 eggs, Dany's eggs, they will. They don't care about Rhaena because they're not going to show us Rhaena on the show. That's it. They're here to make good television. They're going to use George's material to do that, and it's mostly going to be similar. And sometimes there'll be a lore drop. Like the Daemon song thing, to me, seemed to be coming from George. The pages in Valyrian about Dany's the Dreamer dreaming with Balerion. This is a longer section of the World of Ice and Fire that got edited out. So this is the lore that we can sink our teeth into. But for the most part, we just have to understand the show's going to do its own thing, and we have to try to evaluate it on its own terms. I think that's how we're going to have the best time. So,
yeah. To next week's episode, I think.
And to Winds of Winter, which feels like it's trying to be born. I'll just say that. It's trying.
Are we doing breakfast club there?
Until I can pay my money to pre-order it, I don't care. I don't think about it until it's here because I don't like to be teased.
It's Schrodinger's book.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you, Nettles. I'm not really thinking about it too much until they actually say it. But, and then real quick, if you're wondering about Nettles, we don't know, but I made a whole video going over what we do know and talking about her character and why she's important and all that. So check that out. It's recently in my House of the Dragon playlist. It just says, "Where's Nettles?" So there you go. And if you didn't catch it, I put out a video yesterday morning called Rook's Rest Battle Breakdown. It's got more 90s references than all my previous videos combined. It's got a lot. So don't miss that. And then once again, Sean, your channel is called The Hero with 1,000 Voices. The link is in the description of this video. I will drop it in the chat right now. I would appreciate it if all of you would go and subscribe and watch Sean's first video, which is on there.
Very excited.
And yeah, so let's all do that. Let's show some support and some love. Like literally Fisher Price, my first video. Okay. So
I just subscribed. It was really easy and free.
I just did it too.
I'm not going to give a big intro to the video here because we've already run way over, but the video is up. It's my first. It's a little bit raw, but I think the content is good. My Instagram and Patreon are also live. My Patreon does not have comment or content yet. but it will before the calendar month is over. And
Look at this.
Dave, thanks for
Look
having me
at
on.
this cheesy ass smiling
Yeah,
picture.
I had short hair at one point, and I will again soon. But yeah,
This look like a boy of summer if I ever saw one.
This looks
is
like
a
Young
sweet
Republicans of America right here.
summer. Right?
I know. I hate the fact that when I have short hair, I basically look like I got lost at Hitler Youth Camp.
You look like Kristen Cole's intern.
I'm not that guy.
Devastating. Go subscribe to poor old Sean here.
Oh, the self-inflicted wounds.
It's good, Mark. No, this is perfect. Honestly, for a profile pic, this is perfect. Having a slightly awkward profile pic is a thing. There's huge channels that have clearly like, it looks like something from Facebook or like not even Facebook. Just, I don't know.
Well, slightly awkward is
MySpace.
what I do best.
Sean,
There we
everyone says don't cut your hair.
No, your hair is
don't-
beautiful. Yeah.
I'm donating it. So it's
Your Catlin
real.
hair. That is Catlin's hair, isn't it?
Ned loved my hair.
Well, I'm sure. Well, thanks for letting us have fun at your expense, Sean. And look at those subscribers flying up. You went from 4, you're up to 62. Look at that. Thanks, guys. I appreciate y'all. So, there you go. I'll look forward to check out the video. In all honesty, so
Thanks for having me on, Nettles. Good to see you again. We were a little less wild than we were on your stream.
I'll be doing more roasts. You can catch Sean on my latest roast for episode 2. I'll be roasting each episode, even though not every episode needs to be roasted, but
I think I just did roast this episode. I think I just went
man.
Jakari's on this bitch.
I know. We might see some of these quips on my roasts.
Well, you have to have me on. Maybe I need to burn off some of this steam or something. I don't know. Alrighty, guys. I'll see you next week. I'll have I've got some good stuff coming out this week. I'll probably have a short video early in the week, and then the Dragon Dreams video with some custom Urtach, Ultanaz, Danis the Dreamer, Balerian artwork. Oh yes, oh yes. So, thank you all, and subscribe to Girl Nettles. Make sure you subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you soon.